Whoa. Okay. I'm finally unmuting my mic. I was just like finishing getting everything set up. My streaming setup this time is like a little more manageable. I just have wires all over the place though. Yeah, welcome to the actually I should switch the to the title card. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's better. Welcome to the production breakdown of Virtua and as well as a Q&A live stream. Um yeah, there will be a VOD of this. I'm currently also recording it, and I believe Flash Memories is also recording it. Big shout outs to Flash Memories, by the way. Um doing the Lord's work in archiving all of the production streams and important stuff in the SoundCloud community, so hell yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna give it like probably like 5 more minutes before I start like start up on the actual like getting into production and stuff. I'll let people funnel in here. Hawk Virtua. Yeah. I've seen that comment many a times. Hell yeah. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Uh I like I guess I didn't realize how like late like 8 p.m. feels for me. I was like, yeah, 8 p.m. I should be like, good and stuff. But I'm like, damn, I scheduled this late, but you know, I wanted to schedule it so that everyone everyone would be able to like come through. No one was like stuck at work or anything. It seems like 8 or 9 p.m. is like the time that everyone's available, so hell yeah. Unfortunately, I'm finding Hawk Tuah funny again. I hate it. That's that's the cycle of life and the internet, unfortunately. Also, I think the chat overlay is working. Okay. I was confused because it like reloaded, I think, when I switched pages, so I could actually probably double check that setting. Um, actually, you know what? Yeah, no, I think it should be good. I think I set it up properly. I was like, I just got all of the streaming graphics and OBS setup done today, so hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, honestly, if you know nothing about music and you're just watching it just to watch it, like hell yeah. I'm gonna be explaining everything in very like non-music producer terms because that's what I usually do. I more so, and a lot of this, I guess, is going to be a lot of like breaking down composition and thought process behind it as opposed to like delving in deep to like, oh, this is how I like mixed this thing and this is how I did like obviously I'm going to get into that. There is like some mixing stuff and mastering stuff I'd want to cover because I tried different mixing and mastering stuff with this project, but it's a lot of it's just going to be kind of thought process behind a lot of like the writing of it and delving into that. So I hope that's interesting for all the non-music producers and just casual watchers. Yeah, I'm hoping it goes smooth. Who does your graphics? It's so good. I do all my graphics. I've done pretty much all of my art and graphics for this project. For like just trendy as a whole. For Virtua, it's all me. I think the only time I've had someone else do graphics for me was for the Halloween EP. Shout outs to Noel Twist CMYK, awesome artist. Yeah, I think vocal mixing. I think I went over vocal mixing in, what was it? In the last production breakdown stream. I went into that. I'm still figuring out my vocal chain because it's like it's such a convoluted process. I'm also using a new mic now. It's a Shure SMB7, is it? It's the podcaster mic. That's what I'm using tonight, and I'm still figuring out how I want to mix that. Can you please break down the graphics? Yeah. I know you suggested breaking down the graphics earlier. So yes, I will break down the graphics and visuals if I get time, if that interests anyone. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thoughts on Blade Cold Visions. I embarrassingly have not listened through it like all the way yet. I've been meaning to. It's on like my list of albums I gotta listen through. But eventually I'm gonna listen through it. I've heard it's really good, and the tracks I have heard off of it I really like. So how do you start on the track? It depends. It depends. I'll get into a little bit of that when I get started on the production, or like delving into the production and stuff, because that'll the thought processes with Virtua especially were pretty straightforward. And I kind of want to delve into that because that kind of opens up some of the inspirations that I took from during the project. So Joe Rogan mic, yeah, unfortunately it's the Joe Rogan mic. ADHD, yeah. Do you want to plug some? Oh yeah, hell yeah. I think I posted about it on like social media and stuff, but I made a Spotify playlist. If you go to my Spotify page on Spotify, like artist page, I put a Spotify playlist in there of tracks that I've been digging recently, and like some other cool artists that I think people should listen to. I have a lot of lesser known artists at like the top of the playlist that I'd highly recommend. Um, yeah, that's kind of like, I could probably drop a link to it in chat too if that would interest anyone. But that's like the that's like the easiest way to kind of see what I've been listening to and what I've been vibing with. Drop link. Yeah, let me grab it real quick here. I know I posted it on Twitter. Where did I post it? Meh, meh, meh. Fuck, am I gonna have to open Spotify? Fuck. Okay, I will start in like 2 minutes here. Sorry it's taking a minute. I'm just like, I just want to get like the first stuff out of the way. Right, oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Copy link to playlist, and let me drop that in chat here. Oh, you can't. Oh, you okay? I have to do that in like the actual Twitch window. There we go. Yeah, that's the playlist. Let's see. Oh hell yeah. Dog Park is awesome. Huge shout outs to Dog Park. Love their stuff. One of the main inspirations behind Hotel Room, actually. What are your thoughts on genre / what genre would you consider this record? It's honestly, it's just like vaporwave. If you want to be ultra specific, I think, was it Virtual Utopian is the thing it's been categorized under, or like stuff in that genre, like a lot of stuff like the what's it, that one project that Vectroid did, the Virtual Home Enterprises, or like Home, that project I know is categorized under it. And that's also another favorite album of mine, but that I know that project is categorized under it. um but yeah, that's if you wanted to get ultra specific. But honestly, this was just kind of my tribute to the vaporwave genre, because it's Vaporwave's been like a big part of my life. It's one of my favorite like genres that I've listened to since like my teens, and honestly, like this was just kind of like it's finally after years and years of like wanting to make a Vaporwave project, I finally made one that I'm like genuinely happy with. Any plans on a Virtua 2? I did think of it. It's kind of funny because the original idea for this, like even up to like a week before like getting the release set up for this, um I was considering making Virtua a completely separate like alias that I was going to do more of this under, but I kind of just thought like I'm already all over the place genre wise with the trndy project, so I might as well just like all encapsulate it under trndy, and that's essentially what I did. And there might be more of it. I think I'll revisit this at some point in the future, the kind of exploring a different, you know, era or aesthetic or whatnot, and kind of doing my take on it. And you know, maybe there will be a second one in the future. I enjoyed making this. I think that's like the core thing. So it's definitely something I might revisit. Any tips for newer artists trying to get into production? What does it mean to put OTT on the master? Honestly, kind of in that vein, just like experimenting, just fuck around in a digital audio workstation. That's the best way to get started, IMO. OTT on the master is just it's an Ableton multi-band compressor preset that is well known for being used in a lot of EDM stuff, and it just compresses the absolute hell out of everything. So it's often advised like, oh, if you put that on the master, it's gonna ruin all the dynamics. I will have it be known that there is technically OTT on the master on Virtua. It's a slight bit of it, but it's on the master, and I'll show that later when I talk about like the mastering process of this. Hell yeah. Thank God for Daniel Lopatin. Yeah, shoutouts to 10 Tricks Point Never. Hell yeah. Also, 10 Tricks Point Never, big inspiration for the track Claws. That was I was inspired by The Station, that song, for like the vocals and stuff on that. What's your favorite DAW? I've been an Ableton user for a while, but I don't know. I think like Ableton's just the workflow I enjoy, but I also really like Logic for the price point and tools. Pretty baller. Hell yeah. I think we're reaching almost 8:20, so we're gonna switch on over to production time. We're gonna hopefully the screen recording actually works here. Screen view. Are we good? Okay, there we go. We're good. Cool. Yeah, we got 50 viewers. Hell yeah. Big thumbs up. Yeah, so I'm gonna start here with the first track, Pangaea. And yeah, so this is, if you saw my previous production stream, you'll notice this is very organized compared to a lot of the stuff I showed off in that stream. That is because I was trying to keep everything organized so I knew what everything was. Because there's quite a few tracks, and I'll go over what's happening where. So this one, I think I originally posted a clip on Twitter when I first started making this, and it was the intro of it. This part was what I originally posted, and this was what I started with, was the intro, which is unusual for me. Hell yeah. Shoutouts to Kamo. Thank you for being here. Oh wait, there's no oh wait. Hold on a second here. Hold on. Wait. Fuck. Hold on. Right. Give me a second here. Let me figure that out. It should be... Oh, okay, wait. Got it. I was stupid. I had it muted in OBS because I was like, I don't want it to go off randomly while I'm on the what's it called? Like okay, hold on. Oh god. Multiple windows in Mac OS. Please. Oh my god. What is going on here? Sorry, I did not expect to be having technical difficulties here. I thought I sorted this out when... Hold on a second here. Give me just 1 second. I'm having weird display issues. If I just move... Okay, that fixed it. Right. Cool. Okay, I think we're good now. Right. Back to it. Screen view. Okay, so we should be good on audio now. I'll play it again just to make sure. Are we good? Can we hear it? Is it good? Is it good on levels? Are we good on levels here? Hell yeah. Awesome. Right. So, fuck, if I can find my mouse cursor. Right. I should have done this. I should have had my second display be my smaller monitor. I'm using my ultra wide monitor as my second display instead of like the smaller one I have. Anyways, so this was like the first part that that I created, and I think I posted a clip of it on Twitter back when I started it. But this intro is really simple. So what I have going on here is like I have Wave Station as like the main pad synth. Has this like really nice kind of like not metallic-y, but it's like a very spacey metallic-y sound. It also has like it's like an octave thing going on with one of the oscillators, so it creates this kind of like very specific kind of vibe and sound with like the chord structure when you do it. So like I'm doing like a very simple chord with it, right? It's just like 3 notes, but it sounds a lot bigger because it's like you get that like layered, you know, like fifth on it, which I find is really common with this type of like this like that. Okay, so I'm not great with music theory, so what I'm gonna say is probably gonna make like music theory people cringe that get like really into it. But with the like kind of 5th octave kind of thing going on, I find that in a lot of this type of like not educational music, but like this genre of that like era of like 90s sciencey education music type stuff. That seems to be like a really kind of common like thing to do, is having that like 5th octave and stuff. And I think it's because it adds in this like weird kind of like, it adds in like mystery or intrigue, and it's very open-ended, so you can kind of do a lot with it. And I think that's like from a compositional standpoint, it sounds very curious, and that's kind of what the music's supposed to invoke. And so what you end up getting is this kind of like, it just sounds very like it intrigues you as a whole, you know. It paints a soundscape almost. And then the bass is also Wave Station. Yeah, it's Wave Station, I believe. It's the Just a Pickin' preset in the Wave Station VST. Really, really nice kind of like chorusy bass. And that like bend in there specifically is a bit of an homage to Anna Music. Forget which one it is. It's like it's the what is it? The second song off of Anna Music one, I believe. I forget what it's called. It's slipping my mind, but I love that one. And yeah, it just reminded me of that kind of bend, and it was like, oh, it's like nostalgic to me. I want to add that in. And then also another thing I'm layering here is this little like forest sound effect from the JV 1080. Very subtle, but it adds in that like, you know, foresty kind of vibe. I'm gonna just take a look at chat here real quick because I see it's moving fast and I feel I have missed stuff. Um, hell yeah, hell yeah. That's a baller. Glad you like the EP, Kamo. I'm a big fan of your stuff. So, let's see. Fun pro tip, core reviews. You can just find a preset in the trial period and bounce it. You don't have to pay for the. See, I've done that before, but I like. I'll be honest, the versatility of being able to go back and adjust the presets, because I did that a lot during this project, is much more preferable. I would recommend. I don't know if that's against Twitch TOS to say. I'm gonna say sailing the high seas to get the VST. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to pay for the VSTs, you know, you know what to do. RU Tracker is a lifesaver. I did end up having to pay for the VSTs because I'm on Mac and there's barely any cracks. So, Korg and Roland, please don't come to my house and shoot me. Would you say all your items and plugins? Yeah, that answers that question. Ultra wide gang, yeah. I love my ultra wide. Um, let's see. Korg Wave Station, my beloved. Gives you a sense of wonder and wow. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to evoke with this project. That was kind of the main thing that I was exploring when I was writing a lot of these stuff, was like these songs, was like I want to go through all the wonder and amazement of that era of like aesthetic and style. Sort of suspended vibe to it. Right. Yeah, so for most of this project, I am using presets because a lot of the sounds that come from these synths are things that I really wanted to like hone in on, because there's like very specific sounds that like I could kind of pick out from like different, like having listened to like stuff from this era and whatnot. You know, you can pick out those sounds and like, oh, that's like from this synth, and I wanted to use those sounds because you know, I just like the vibe of them. So a lot of this project is presets, and it's kind of era accurate too, because a lot of, if like you were, you know, if I was making it with the actual hardware in that era and I was doing like, you know, kind of that production work, if I had to make like production music during that era with that hardware, it would just be presets, and that's what you'll find with a lot of that stuff. I think I played this as intro music in my previous production stream, and I think if you go into like the VOD of that on YouTube, you can find like the identified tracks, you know, section on the description. You can find it there, but there's this pack of it's like production music from that era, like from like the 90s, that was it was an inspiration for this project, but it's very much, you can pick out like there's certain like, you know, presets from like the Roland D50, as well as like some sound canvas, I think, in there, like one of the sound canvas modules. You can hear them in that you know, those tracks, and you know, it's very much like that's half the nostalgia, is those specific sounds and the use of them, so, you know, so prevalently. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. What are your thoughts on Vital Synth? It's cool. I haven't really used it much. I'm still a Serum user, but hell yeah. Yeah, like I've been using Phase Plant more than Serum. Okay. I actually just bought Phase Plant, so I'm gonna have to try that out. I only just barely scratched the surface of it, but I want to like delve in and try some sound design stuff with it. What are your thoughts on sound design? Do you ever make your own little sound? Um I do usually sound design myself if it's like a non, like if I'm not making one of these like MIDI focused tracks where I'm like supposed to be using the presets, I will definitely be making my own sounds from scratch. Sometimes to a detriment where I don't save a preset of something I would use commonly, so I just constantly remake it whenever I need it in a project. But a lot of my sound design is really simple stuff, so I don't go crazy on it. Um, yeah. Yeah, no, that's like, especially with older synths too, the workflows behind them are kind of, they're kind of convoluted because it's very much menu divey, and that's even true on like the VSTs, even though they have a better interface. It's like there's so many options that like in a lot of newer synths they're more condensed, but like yeah, it's in like phase plant and stuff, it's much more streamlined workflow. And I'm kind of curious if like you could recreate some of the sounds from these synths, these like sampler based ones in phase plant, and how accurately you could do that by like using the original like wavetables and stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll dive more into the project now that I've kind of gone through the queue of questions here. Um, so yeah, the intro part, very simple. It's kind of just this like pad and bass sequence. Um, and then it kind of, we add in this like little like ARP synth here that's also a wave station preset. This is used quite commonly throughout the EP. I believe this is actually a newer like from like the like VST exclusive presets. Not an original one, but I like the sound of it. And then we get to the drums, which drums are just the JV 1080 pop drum sets, or yeah, pop drum set 1. Classic vibe. I love this. Very nostalgia hitty for me. So this part here is like this kind of swell is was a fun one to do. So fuck, I didn't mean to make a new MIDI clip there. So I have these like two pads here that literally their only job is just to like swoop up. And then I think they like swoop back down. Yeah, they like do that. That's like basically they're just like risers essentially. But yeah, it's like kind of a duplicate of the pad from the like first part, and then a like another pad under that, which is more like sweeping. Yeah, like more cinematic sounding. And then on top of that too, I also have these guitars layered on them. So these like kind of, they fade in at the second part here. And then those are kind of like layered throughout the rest of it. Because that kind of adds in the like grittiness of like, because there was always that like, I feel like there's like that kind of thing where like, you know, in this type of like production music and stuff, they like try to make it like sound cool, right? And like they'd add in like, you know, a MIDI guitar, or like they do a little guitar solo on their like, you know, whatever guitar they had, and like through like, you know, guitar processor or whatever. But like you got to make it sound like a little like, you know, 90s cool, have that in the background. And then like the leads too, the leads throughout this project are very layered. So like the beginning part, the beginning like kalimba is very like, it's just one thing. This is actually the JD 800, just a preset off of that. But then when it comes to like the chorus and stuff, I'm layering like 3 different synths together at a time. I believe, are these all wave station? Yeah, these are all wave station presets, but we have like a bell, or like a synthy bell, like Vox bell, and then you have like a more traditional sounding bell. And that's like layered with another, because I believe that's a stacked preset, like one of the stacked ones. Yeah, it's like one of the stacked ones. And then on top of that, you have like a more like synthy bell that's like more high pitched, and together that kind of creates this like very big sounding layer. And then, of course, in the second part, you have the pan flute layered with that. And then that's also layered with the kalimba from before. And then the sitar too, that's like two different sitar presets, both wave station. Again, there's a lot of wave station on this first one at least. And I also believe on Discovery too, but we'll get into that later. So this isn't, so like, I guess this is kind of a good thing to go over, because this is, I know a lot of people ask like, how do you do like the you know, like the actual, you know, production, like how do you make something that sounds like this? And a lot of that comes down to putting yourself in the mindset of, if you were like, because I think my biggest pet peeve with a lot of attempts to like recreate like, you know, era specific sounds is that a lot of people focus on like a vibe more than accuracy. So like, you know, especially with vaporwave stuff, you'll find people like, you know, trying to make like, oh, this thing sounds like the 80s, and it's like very pseudo 80s, like it sounds more just like a very generic synthwave track of like, oh, you know, you ticked all the boxes of it sounds like an 80s synth, and you have the, you know, big sounding drums and the gated reverb, and that's, you know, that's 80s enough, call it 80s. But when you're actually making this stuff, what you kind of have to do is you have to actually put yourself in the mindset of like how you would make it if you were in that era, right? So like my challenge with this was basically, okay, so I want to make stuff that sounds like this era. Let me go and find, you know, VST presets and stuff and like emulations of the actual synths from that era to use, so I can get like, you know, use all the presets and have the same general like effects tone and stuff. Because that's like a very important part, is to have that limitation and have that kind of specific accuracies to all the odd nuances in like how it plays back a sample or how the effects sound on that specific unit. And that's something that, again, a lot of people don't consider, is putting yourself in like an actual mindset to recreate it. And that's something that, like, if you want to make something that sounds accurate, put yourself in the mindset, like find reference to, you know, like find track references from that era and really try to break them down. Try to do research into like what synths were around at that specific like year and period, or what that specific artist used on like that track. Because there is like, you know, like certain producers, and like, you know, they're notable enough where like people have made like gear lists of like, oh, they used this at this specific era, and like you can kind of build up an idea of like, okay, so I want sounds from this era, this is the general synths that these artists were using around that era. Let me find either used synths or VST emulations. VST emulations are much easier to come by, but they're not always like, not every company has them. But yeah, it's really just putting yourself in that mindset, and that's the most important thing, I think, when actually approaching this, which is why I kind of wanted to break down some of the compositional aspects of this, with like how I'm layering stuff, kind of picking out individual parts and whatnot, because that's like 90% of the sound. You know, it's like you have the presets, but 90% of it is compositional work to get it to sound correct. I'm gonna go back through chat real quick here. Gonna see what chat's been saying. Let's see here. So the Pangaea. Yeah, so originally it was called Wide Open Sea, and that was just whatever I kind of vibed with when I named the project. Was like, it sounds like a track that would be like, it sounds like you're kind of going across the sea, like you're following like, you know, like 90s you know, ray traced rendering. You're following along a 3D scene, kind of an endless void, some kind of like orb or something of like knowledge going across the sea to meet somewhere else. You know, it's very open ended and explory in kind of the vibe of it. You're going out into the unknown to explore and learn new things, which is why I kind of called it that, and why I attached it to the end of like the actual track name, because I kind of saw it as like a second name for the track. It's almost jazz. Yeah, it's very much jazz. A lot of the stuff from this, like, you know, production music type thing is a lot of it's jazz influence. I could turn up the DAW. Oh yeah, I can turn up the DAW audio in here. Yeah, like as I was actually turned down. I don't know why it was turned down. Yeah, DAW audio should be up now, I think. Let me see here. Should be better. I can also adjust the vocals too. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like a lot of it's very jazz influenced, very much. A lot of the composers of like production music and stuff were like, you know, usually like session or jazz guys first and foremost, so like a lot of that influence is in there. Hell yeah. Have you ever tried recreating some of your favorite songs? I done that. I have done like recreations before. I think I'd have to dig through my project files to like find them, but I have, you know, done some recreations before. I think the one I did post was the was it Finnish or Polish? I think it was Finnish TV show intro, that meme. I think I did like a recreation of that and posted that. Approximately how long did it take you to make this track? That's a good question. That, like, I'm trying to think, because one of the main things too that I kind of realized with this was basically this was in limbo for 2 years. I started this back in 2022, but I didn't. A lot of these tracks were not actually finished. They were just kind of stems of ideas of tracks. This one got finished pretty early on. This probably, like, you know, taking out any hours I did not work on it, probably took me like a week to make. And like a lot of this album was finished in like two weeks. Like 2 weeks in like June. Like around June was when I finished it. Coincidentally, also the exact time I started taking Adderall. So, like, you know, that shit does apparently work. Thumbs up emoji. But yeah, this was like, it was kind of in limbo for a while, but like truthfully, it probably, if you took out like all the time in between that I didn't work on it, you know, probably like this entire EP took me a few months to make. In total, no break time. Probably could slim it down to like a few months. Yeah. So yeah, the chorus here, a lot of it's just layering stuff. That's kind of like, yeah, it's just, oh, and this is another fun thing too, these impacts. It's a combination of the JV1080 and the Wave Station. And it's that kind of like, is it like GoldenEye, I think, has the like sound effect in it, the like kind of it's like called feedback hit in the JV 1080, the actual like sound. I believe if I go to the feedback wave, it's that like, you know, very echoey sound. I just find it was like used a lot, you know, and stuff. I think also another big inspiration for this project, and another artist I'd like to shout out, was Seth Nova. His stuff was what originally turned me on to the a lot of like the synths I used in this, because he posts a lot of like you know, synth demos on social media and stuff of all these like different, you know, synths from like the 90s and 80s and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of like the, you know, JV 1080 and like JD 800 stuff, like figuring out that was you know, listening to his stuff and being like, oh, I like that sound. That sounds very of that era. So yeah, shout outs to Seth Nova. Awesome artist. Very, very good at recreating this like era specific type of sound. What plugins did you use for these songs? So for this song specifically, I used mostly the Korg Wave Station plugin, along with the JV 1080, and then I believe, yeah, it was mostly the JV 1080 and Wave Station, and then occasionally sprinkled in there, mostly just for the top kalimba. This was the JD 800, but for the most part, everything else is JV 1080 and Wave Station. You think you'll ever go over your audio rack? I remember seeing a picture of it on Twitter. Yeah, actually, at some point I will go over that. If I had like a webcam or anything hooked up to this setup, I'd be like, hell yeah, we'll go over the whole audio rack. But it's so kind of a little bit of a work in progress, at least in terms of like hooking everything together. But it's kind of been an ongoing project over this year. Will you play live? It's funny you should say that, because I actually was working on a kind of setup for doing Virtua Live, because you see a lot of this is MIDI tracks, obviously. Most of it is, actually. So I was kind of working on a setup to basically be able to like, you know, trigger all of this live and play through the tracks live, so I could like manipulate them live and whatnot. Yeah. So I'm eventually maybe, if that ever goes anywhere, I will maybe do some kind of Virtua Live thing, or, you know, I'm kind of trying to figure out live stuff for like next year, because I do want to get started in doing that eventually. So, yeah, Daniel White. I didn't come across his stuff until I was kind of like already like halfway through this project when I had started it. But his stuff is also really cool. He's done a lot of stuff in the whole like, you know, utopian scholastic type style. I think he's done like 2 or 3 EPs in that style. Good stuff, fun stuff. Very, very fun to listen to. So yeah, if you're into this, then I'd recommend going to check out his stuff. Yeah, so like after the chorus, it's kind of just a repeat of the beginning part, but we're adding in like more elements. We're also adding in, I believe, what is it? I thought there was a string layer. At one point I did have a string layer going on here, but I think I removed that in the final version because I don't see the track anywhere. And I was like, or maybe, oh no, you know what? It's over at this part. I got that mixed up. Yeah, so it's basically just more of the same. And of course you have like the drums and the feedback hits kind of going over it. And then also over here, I start to bring in some like more percussion. have like a little timpani here, kind of layered, and then you have gong as well. I did, so all of this is like Korg and Roland VSTs. Serum does make an appearance here as a white noise generator for the little like just white noise sweep. I felt it was okay to break the rules there because, you know, if you were making something during this era of music, you probably had at least one analog synth you could generate white noise with and add a filter on and then put through some effects, and there you go. It's good enough, you know? So then, yeah, you have like I'm adding like more of these kind of like tube bells. That gives it more of that like kind of mystical, not really fantasy, but like almost, I want to say like, I guess, 'tis the season, Christmassy vibes, because it's like those like Christmas spells almost, you know? It's like, da, 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 you know? So like, it has that vibe to it, but that's very much of like the kind of style is that kind of like, you know, mystery and orchestral kind of additions to it, you know? It's very cinematic almost, is a good way to put it. Yeah, and then this part here. So another thing I guess I want to highlight when I was writing this track, another inspiration of how I was kind of thinking about it was, I know this has been brought up a lot in like reference to this project specifically, the, was it the Eyewitness, like the like intro to that? Yeah, like that was kind of what I was thinking of, when I was making this, was kind of like, okay, so this is like, this song specifically is the intro to some kind of documentary or educational TV show, and the part of it specifically, like the part of it specifically that I'm thinking of here is like, this is the part of the track that you only hear at the like the credits, right? You only hear this part at like the credits of the TV show. Like you hear the abridged version of it, which like goes up to the chorus at like the intro of it, you know, and then this is like the credits sequence that you hear less often. But it has that like, it's like kind of just building. And again, this is also, I think, another kind of like, I'm paying homage to Animusic here. I believe it's Harmonic Chambers, is it? It's the one that's in a cathedral. Oh no, cathedral. Shoot, man, I am forgetting all of my Animusic knowledge today. I was so into that as a kid, and I am forgetting it all today at the most inopportune time. It's the one that's in a cathedral. I believe it has like a build section that's kind of like this. And that's kind of what I wanted to exemplify with this, was that kind of like, that kind of vibe. And then you have this like actual build where the main part of this build is the like ARP synth here. But in this part, the main thing that's kind of building is the melody, is the main thing driving it. But you do have these strings here. You have synth strings, which again, wave station, and then I think there's like a more realistic strings preset. Yeah. Yeah, you have that layered, and it creates this very like cinematic, like... But again, compositionally, like chord-wise, what I'm doing here is just like... we're doing that like 5th, 7th thing here. I'm not doing any like fancy chords. It's literally just building up that thing. You know, it's just those very simple chords. Because again, it's like a lot of this is very simple chords, because I'm not great with like doing fancy chord progressions and stuff, but like it is that kind of open-ended 5th sound, and then the melodies on top, these like these melodies on top are what's kind of building the main thing that your ears are paying attention to, and kind of building more of that, like, if the chords are kind of like that open-ended, like, exploring kind of vibe, these are kind of like the things you're finding in it. And this is a combination of, you have like the kalimba, and then you have the bell synth, because this adds in like a very, very synthy sound, but then you have these two very organic sounds layered on top of that, and it creates just a very, again, for lack of a better term, it has a very like animusic type vibe. And then of course I'm introducing like the bell, more of the bell here, so like, because you want to have that, like, you know, little like chime glittery something in there. And really the outro, nothing special. Just basically the same thing as the first chorus. It's a pretty straightforward track, all things considered. Only real difference is like I'm not adding in the sitar at this point. I could wait till the second roundabout to add that back in. But like the structure of it, right? The structure of it is supposed to be like, it's supposed to be production music. That's kind of the thought going in. You're making production music in the 90s, you know, mid to late 90s, and you got to figure out, you know, how do I make this so that, like, you know, if they were using it in a TV show or something, they can easily split it up, or I could easily split it up into individual parts they could edit together for like an intro or a bumper sequence or credits or whatnot, which is why I think it's very repetitive, is because that's kind of the thought process going into it, is very much focusing on that aspect of it. You know, how could it be repetitive and easily spliced together? Yeah, and the ending part is really just kind of all the synths just, you know, hitting that one last chord that is basically the beginning chord. You have that feedback hit. Yeah, no, it's a very straightforward, simple track, but it's a fun one. It's a very fun one. It was fun to make. It was kind of the one that kind of kickstarted like the whole like, you know, I could turn this into like a whole project essentially. But yeah, no, it was a fun little track to make. Let's go back to chat real quick here. Let's see. How did you go from hyper pop to this? And I forgot which song you use it on. How'd you hear the Death Griff sample? You know what? I don't think I should legally answer that question. It's on streaming. That is all you need to worry about. Acoustic Curves. It wasn't Acoustic Curves, but it was the Cathedral one. I do now I can place Acoustic Curves, because I think that was like my least favorite track out of Animusic, surprisingly. I didn't vibe with it. Do you play your MIDI on a keyboard? So it depends. I think once we get to like what is it? Once we get to Meteorological Center, that part of actually like the main melody and the bass part on that were played on a keyboard, but a lot of this was just kind of done, you doing it on a piano roll and or like the, you know, laptop keyboard, just because like it was easier, faster for me. I'm not a great pianist, so hell yeah. Hell yeah, Spellpasser. Thank you for stopping by. I'm gonna have to join you in voice chat at one of these days again. I feel like I've been lacking in catching up with you, so hell yeah. Hello. Welcome. What was mastering this track like? The mastering process I tried to standardize, and I could delve into that a little bit. in a little bit here. But like essentially, the mixing, I guess I could also delve into the mixing too, because that was half the process, was mixing it and then having to master it. Like it was going back and forth between the two. And like the last week I was working on this, like a lot of it was mastering and mixing, just trying to get everything to fit together and getting it to a proper loudness level that I was okay with, and like also preserving dynamics without making it sound super squished or compressed. Where did you get your name? I honestly just came up with it on the fly. I had it like floating around my head for like a few weeks before then, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, this would be a good name for the project, because I'm making music that is currently trendy, and I don't know, it seems like it fits. When would you say Virtua 2 would come out? Virtua 2, I don't know. I do not know. I'm working on a lot of other projects that I'm more focused on right now, and like, you know, some of it virtual related, but it's not another EP. I will say that much. But as eventually, sometime in the future, maybe. Any tips for artists trying to find their niche? Really, like, especially if you're working on an album, just do whatever you are kind of doing. That's what I've done with this project, is I've kind of tried to ignore following trends, like, you know, 100% to a T. Like if I'm doing something that's a trend, the whole point of it is like I'm doing my take on it, and that seems to be working, you know. So like honestly, like if you're trying to find your niche, just make what you're vibing with, put out stuff you like, and your crowd of people will eventually find you that also vibe with that. That's what I've found over my many, what is it, like 8 years of releasing music online. That's kind of how it's always worked for me. Where do you see the future of music going? That's a good question. I can't say like genre wise I know where it's going, you know. I feel like we're kind of in the era of like vaporwave is going to make some kind of comeback, probably just because time is a flat circle. But like I don't know, I guess I just see it like we're in an odd era just in general of like culture, where it's kind of eating itself like a snake. And so I think like there's got to be something that spawns from that. I don't know what it will be, but like I don't know. I think vaporwave is one thing that I see like a lot of people kind of getting pseudo nostalgia for. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't myself, but like yeah, it might come back. I think music industry wise though, like uh it's definitely, there's just going to be more of a push towards being an independent artist, and I think record labels are going to just shit the bed at some point. I mean, I get contacted by labels all the time, and quite frankly, they all have the shittiest deals and nothing that is of value to me. Like they you know, it's like basically they're contacting, you know, they usually contact you because they don't have the pull to their record label. They're looking for that pull, and all they have to offer you is they're going to take 50% of your revenue, 40% if you're lucky, not even 40%, 45%, and then they're going to basically just lock you into the shittiest deal you've ever experienced and basically just fuck you over. That's like it's literally just a worst deal ever. Not worth it. There's very few reasons to be signed to a label, and that trend has just been continuing more and more. Let's see. Virtua, but it's 2012 Complextro. You know, that would be insane. I don't know what that would sound like, but like, yeah, I suppose. in its own style. Let's see. It seems like you make every project its own style. What gives you the confidence to do that? And is that a thing we can continue to expect from you? Yeah, each project I do is kind of in its own little like area, you know. It's like its own thing, self-contained thing. It's kind of like how artists like have eras, and I'm kind of trying to lean more into like having like each, you know, individual era. I guess like a good artist to kind of like compare that to, you know, who released recently is like Tyler the Creator. How like he has like his own, you know, specific eras, and each project is kind of like contained to that era and has a different style based on that, like, you know, specific, you know, idea it's trying to explore. That's kind of the thing I'm trying to go more with my stuff, is like, because I can't stay consistent to one style. It's just never been something I've been good at. So like getting to explore all that is like, you know, make it its own individual project that kind of encapsulates what you're trying to explore or feel or talk about, or just like, you know, vibe with, and like, you know, kind of, you know, stay in it for a while and explore it, and then like, you know, once you're done with that, like move on to the next kind of vibe and project, essentially. Hello, Bryce. Thank you for tuning in, Bryce. Are you a fan of Sega Virtua games? You know, quite frankly, I've never played them. I do know there was a Virtua Fighter was announced yesterday at the Game Awards. I've not played any of the Virtua, like Sega Virtua games though, which is ironic because I literally named this project Virtua, but I swear it has no affiliation. Please don't sue me, Sega. Let's see. Wait, will you ever share some of the MIDI of your files so we can read? Yeah, I might. Yeah, I might do that. I was considering like maybe doing stems for this, but I feel like stems, like I don't really know how you would remix it, because also it is the thing of like you want the midis and whatnot. Yeah, I might share midis at some point. Maybe if I do another sample pack, I'll add a lot of MIDI in there, if I can kind of figure out what, you know, melodies I want to include and stuff. But like, yeah, no, I think like, you know, yeah, at some point. I know I think I've included it in some like stems before. Do you think that people are not open to different types of music, or do you think the music industry is just dominating everyone's view? I feel like a lot of people today aren't open to different things and are fine with simplicity in everything, which is fine, but goddamn, I want some new music to get popular. I think, I don't know. I think popular music is popular for a reason, you know? There's a draw to it. I think, I mean, I don't want to say too much about like my upcoming projects or anything, but like exploring pop music and kind of the draw to it, what catches people's ear and stuff, it's very interesting. And you know, there's like stuff that like I don't vibe with in pop music. I think there's like the trend of like woman singing over piano song is one that I see a lot of in very popular music, and it does not interest me at all. I think it's very overdone. It's been overdone for like the past like decade. But it's popular for a reason, you know, and that's what I always come back to with a lot of like popular music and what music like the music industry pushes and stuff. It's popular for a reason, and there's something to be said there. You know, it's not always just simplicity, but like, you know, sometimes it's just like people vibe with things. People hear earworms in songs, and then it gets them, you know, in a, you know, feeling whatever they want to feel that they enjoy, and it's like, you know, something to explore. Yeah, it's very limited on the artists. I don't like. Yeah. Uh, have you ever watched Arcane? I have not. I keep on hearing about Arcane. I have not watched it. Uh, Heard it's very good though. I have like the long list of TV shows I also have to watch at some point. I have like I gotta listen to this album list, and then I gotta watch this TV show list. Um, I also like Blue Eyed Samurai even more. I see. Would you ever consider doing a live music submission slash feedback stream? Maybe at some point. I've kind of considered, if this goes well, if this stream goes well, I might do a like, more streams in the future. I used to stream quite a bit back when I was like like doing music stuff like in like 2018, 2017. Very poor quality streams, but like, I used to do it, and I just don't do it as much anymore because I'm pretty busy and it's a lot to get set up and whatnot. But it's maybe at some point I will do something like that, or just kind of like a working on music stream, because I haven't done that in a long time. Have you heard of Pikmin? If so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, Pikmin's great. Love Pikmin. Um, good game series. You think he'll make a metal album? Uh, Probably not, but you never know. Maybe I'll work on one with someone who does metal stuff someday. I don't know. Um, was Bean Boy parsing the noise any influence on this project? No, it was not on this project. Um, yeah, it was not on this project, but I have had some Bean Boy influence on like other tracks I've done. um who sings in Hotel Room? I sing in Hotel Room. I went over this in my previous production stream, actually, the vocals and how I did them. It's pitched up by like 9 semitones. um yeah. I'd love to see your take on ambient. I have made quite a bit of ambient music as well as like noise music. I have not released any of it though. It's kind of just sitting on my hard drive for something at some point. Um, but I mean, at least one project. Okay, I do have a finished ambient project, but I'm not going to talk about it until a later date. It's sitting on a cassette in a cupboard behind me. And any genre you would not do a project in? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I would like I would write anything off the list as far as like not doing a certain genre or anything. Um Hi, welcome to the stream. Hell yeah. Um, but that, yeah, real US dollars, take it. Okay, yeah, it will. I don't want to say anything yet. I will wait till next year to talk about ambient project. But yeah, I enjoyed working on said ambient project. I made it in like a week, and it was a fun little experiment. But hell yeah. I'm gonna, now that I've kind of gone through the queue. Uh, have you ever heard of Windows 96? Ireland Food Valley has a very similar vibe to this EP. Yeah, no, I have heard of Windows 96. I haven't listened to a lot of their stuff. But there's the stuff I have heard from them is pretty nice, pretty chill stuff. I'll have to delve in more to it at some point. Mark Garson, yeah, hell yeah. Plantasia is a great album. I definitely want to make something that sounds like that at some point. Have you received any distribution offers from record companies? If so, how was your experience with that? Yeah, what was this, last year? Earlier this year? At some point, within the, recent time, I received a distribution offer from Sony, actually. One of the like sub labels under Sony. And it was, again, that's like when a distribution deal is such bullshit, right? Uh it's like label deal light, where basically they're like, oh, we won't own your publishing, we'll just own all the rights to your songs, and also you're still locked into it for like an X amount of years and tracks, and like we also take 45% of all your revenue, but not your publishing, just so you know, not your publishing. And then they also give you an advance, and they're like, yep, so like, yeah, you want to sign with us? We'll give you 10K, which means also you won't actually receive any royalties until you make that back, and we're basically gambling on you. Yeah, no, it's such bullshit. I don't even care if like a record label executive sees this, right? Because like, if so, great, please don't email me. Please never fucking email me. I get too many emails from you shits, and it's all shit. So like, yeah, do not email me. I am independent. Yeah, independent. I own my publishing. Fuck off. Yeah, 10K for 5 years. That's basically what I got, you know. And I'm saying the deal, right, because it's literally like the deal got called off instantly because the guy I was originally conversing with ended up leaving Sony. So I don't think there's actually any, and there was never an NDA or anything, so like legally they can't do shit about it. So like, yeah, 10K for 5 years, it's such bullshit. Such bullshit. I had the same experience with Atlantic. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like a big, huge tip for young artists: do not be influenced by follower count or supposed reach or any dollar signs. All of it is bullshit. There's only very few cases where that will actually be genuine. 90% of it is that there's a lot of small print, and you should always ask, like, okay, give me details on this. And if they're very apprehensive, they're like, oh, we want to do it in like a call, or like 90% of the time it's bullshit. You don't need to care about it. You have more power as an independent artist doing just like posting on social media and posting stuff on the internet and just letting it out there, out in the open. Like, your biggest help is literally just go into your distributor and turn on Spotify discovery mode, and you're pretty much set. Like, that's your promo. There you go. You get put in the rotation of algorithms, then you're good. That's it. Labels suck ass these days, which is like, I would advise, if you're a new artist, just tough it out as an independent. You'll be thankful you did. Does your music have any intentionally queer undertones? I mean, I made a song called Gay Nightcore. I think that's enough to go off of. I have a song that's unreleased that's about gay sex. As that was also like an album scrap too, like in the many iterations of the album, but like, yeah, no, you're never making, if a label offers you to make, like, get you, like, you know, big and whatnot, it's bullshit. It's always the same script too. It's just like such, you know, dropped, begging you to drop. I was considering just posting some of the unfinished demos to SoundCloud of like album scraps, but I think I want to wait to do that till I have a finished actual album to show off. I don't know, maybe we'll visit it on stream if we get time, but I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna load up the next project file for discovery here, because we're already an hour into the stream. Yeah, let's see what do we got here. Oh, I forget, I have like 15 different versions of this, just like different mixing iterations. All right, I'm just gonna get this. It takes a minute. I have it stored on my NAS, which I don't have the fastest network connection to it right now because I'm on gigabit Ethernet. So takes a minute to load it up and all the VSTs and stuff. Right. Hell yeah. putting stuff on the USB drive for the car. That is awesome and based, as the Gen Z would say. Yeah, let me switch over to screen view here. Also, I don't know why chat is reloading every time I switch screens. I am so sorry about that. I could probably fix that at some point here in the next switch over. But yeah, this is the project for Discovery, the theme to Virtua. What kind of computer monitor do you have and would recommend? I am using an Acer. God, I forget the name of this. It's from 2014. It's like an earlier ultra-wide monitor. I've had it since like 2017. It's a okay monitor. I would not recommend it in the current market of ultra-wides. I also have an LG ultra-wide that I'm not currently using. But like, if you have a Mac, go with an LG display. The USB-C connection will save your life. And if you're using a Windows computer, I mean, there's a ton of different options, but like if you're looking for 1440p, I know like, you know, Asus and Samsung have pretty good offerings. Acer as well. I think their newer monitors are a little bit better, but I think they're a bit pricey last time I checked. Monitor prices have like fluctuated a ton. I'm not like last time I had to go look at them, I was like, oh wow, they're surprisingly cheap. But yeah, you can usually find them like 1440p ones for like $400 to $500 these days, I think, which is not what I paid for this current one I'm using. I paid like $800 for this back then, and that was like, you know, I was like, what, 14? So that was like most of my money I had saved for like a bunch of years. I was like, I'm putting it towards getting this monitor specifically, and it was, oh god, hell yeah. So this was the first track I created in like this kind of like idea of Virtua. The Pangaea was the one I created right after this, but this was I remember I posted a few clips of it on Twitter when I was first making it, but kind of the carrying part of it is this arpeggio that is, again, a lot of Wave Station, because I was using Wave Station a lot at the time, and again, JV1080, two very common synths, and it's you have a, you know, this kind of like bell piano, then you mix that with like a, this is the one you hear the most of. It's what preset is this? It's the MIDI Grand. It's a very like bright sounding piano. It's very, very bright, and I like that because it just kind of like hits you, you know? And again, the arpeggio is very simple, but it's very much that like octavey, you know, doing the fifths, sevenths type thing. Again, very, very curious type of like, you know, chord structure. It's just very open-ended. And that's kind of what I wanted to emphasize. And then I'm bringing this in with just some like Wave Station tambourine. I forget, this is from like it's just one of the drum layer things. I edited it to just take off the effects because it has like these like phaser and delays and stuff. I think like, or it's like a reverb. Yeah, it's a reverb. So I just turned that off. So it's like, it's just literally the raw samples. Yeah, and then this kind of starts out with the bass like just hitting that like the lowest note it goes. And this is the bass layer is again Wave Station on both. It's two different presets layered on top of each other. The Dr. Wave preset, and then I think under that is metallic bass. And one of them has this like what is it? So this is like a slap bass, but this one specifically, this has like a nice little like pluck to it. It's like, it's very synthy sounding, but also very organic. And that's a lot of the kind of vibe of this, is like synthesizers, but organic. And that's kind of what I find in a lot of this. Yeah, so then that's like, we're mixing that with the you have like a lot of effects and stuff too, like a lot of percussion and effects on this one, mostly in the drum group here, but you also have this like white noise, just adding that bit of like extra, you know, sound filler to it. Again, Serum. This is also a sample that I've used in pretty much everything. I made it forever ago. I had it in like an old sample pack I made. But I have that like layered with it just very subtly, just because I like how it sounds. Also, if this is too quiet, let me know, because I think this project file is a little bit more quiet than the other one. And then, yeah, kind of throughout the entire project, you have this arpeggio going. It's one of like the main melodies, I'd say. It's like of the theme song or like the Virtua project, just like you have this like very simple arpeggio in this style. And then you also have this like little bend chord here. Very James Ferraro-esque. And that's again Wave Station. Yeah, no, if the DAW is too quiet, I will turn it up. I think, damn it, OBS is already up all the way. I'm gonna just turn on, I think, oh yeah, I have a utility here. This would probably help, right? I think that's better, right? Yeah, that's a little bit, you can hear that. Hell yeah. Yeah, so then like the chord stack here, this was like my first time kind of going at this style and stuff, just using these synths. So I was kind of like just throwing things at the wall. And so a lot of this synth layer is a bit unconventional as to what I do in like later project files for this, you know, EP, but like I just kind of threw everything at the wall. I'm just like layering synth layers and like just different synths, like yeah, JD800, just kind of throwing anything at the wall, and just again, chords here, very basic stuff that I kind of just messed around with chord voicings till I liked how it sounded. So yeah, at this point, you also have like more of that like feedback, like tambourine, kind of adding in some dimension. Then you're kind of like bringing in the drums. I believe I'm using, yeah, so the JV1080, it's the pop drums. Okay, I thought it was the power drums. And then again, you're like mixing that with like some like, you know, extra toms, and then you have like the timpani as well. And then you also have this little, this is another plugin, another Roland plugin that I really like. SRX World. I use this quite a bit. There's a specific guitar preset in the SRX World plugin. Again, shout outs to Seth Noah for using this in like a lot of songs. Amazing sounding guitar preset. That's just like a Fender Strat with like some chorus on it. I use that a lot. I think it's, what layer is it here? Oh, it's this layer right here. This sound is like, that's one of the main sounds of this EP, and it's wide guitar is what it's called. Great preset. Love it so much. And that is also like a counter melody that's playing throughout this. It's just like kind of, it fills the background. It's technically a lead, but it's more, I'd put it more with like the chord stack, because it just fills in space, really, the guitar. Yeah, there's this like little like, oh, that sound that I use a few times just to kind of like add impact to the drums. Yeah, so like, oh yeah, this is another one. So the flutes in this, it's like 3 different flutes layered together. Again, a lot of layering with the leads, because I wanted to like pick out specific parts of the sounds and stuff. So you have like, there's only actually 2 of them playing here. Yeah, so it's a JV1080, Wave Station, and JD800. Basically just 3 different pan flutes from 3 different synthesizers layered together. And then you also have like the other kind of like some like other woodwind flutes layered on top of that. Also, this SRX World bagpipe sound, another thing I use a lot, because there's like kind of the vibe, another vibe that I was kind of taking from, because if you look at a lot of the kind of the aesthetics and stuff of this, I'm gonna pull it, see if I can pull it up here. I'm gonna find because this is another thing that I was doing during this was I created a inspiration board, a inspiration board on Arena of damn it. Okay, fuck. Apparently I'm not logged in, so I gotta find this real quick. I think I sent it to someone on Twitter in like a reply. Basically, there's I'm sure a lot of people here have heard about it, but there's a like artist collective, I believe, based out of New York, called the Consumer Aesthetic Research Institute, and they kind of, their whole thing is they were kind of the people who start like the Y2K thing, the whole Y2K trend. But their whole kind of goal as a collective is to categorize different consumer aesthetics throughout the like eras of like, I think it's like from like the 70s to like present day, and just all of the weird like sub design languages that came out of that era and related to that era culturally, and what was happening around then. And what's it called? The utopian scholastic is specifically a term that was coined by them. I believe one of the members, Evan Collins, was one of the people who coined that term, and I drew a lot of inspiration from the like the, let me see here, where is it? Yeah, here it is. I drew a lot of inspiration from the like board of all the like, yeah, the board of the like images and stuff they had saved, and like other, you know, related links and whatnot. And one of the things that kind of I noticed in this aesthetic, and especially during this time period, because this is like relative to also the internet, you know, kind of blowing up and stuff in the 90s, is that you have this very specific kind of nondescript, like it's very global, and there's a lot of different mixtures of like different cultures and stuff, and it's also oddly from like a very, I mean, not oddly, but kind of understandably from like a very Americanized, westernized viewpoint of that. So in a lot of like the music and stuff, or like a lot of the you know, branding of it, it's very much like, you know, oh, this sounds like, you know, it came from like this part of the world, even though it's not entirely an actual instrument from that part of the world or something, you know. So like the bagpipe thing, it sounds very much like it could be from like a lot of different parts of the world, sounds a lot like a lot of different instruments, but it's like it's bagpipes, but like it's very kind of like drawing inspiration from different, you know, other, you know, cultures and whatnot, and it's very much mixing it together in this very like odd kind of westernized viewpoint of education and connectivity and learning and access to information and stuff. But yeah, I suppose I could also post a link to this in chat here. I'm gonna just like, yeah, post a link to this in chat if you want to look through it. But this was a big companion in the whole kind of like creating this EP and whatnot, you know. Let's see. There's the recipe of the universe. It hadn't expanded too much, and basically the entire thing was like Suit Master. You go to the next period, see through vast swaths of the present day universe, and somehow I feel, yeah, I suppose. See, when reading that, the issue is when reading that, all I could think of was the Big Bang Theory song. I just had the bare naked lady singing, "The whole universe was in a hot, dense state." Let's see. It was the end. It was the end of history. Everyone was floating around of cool globes and various insects and yeah, essentially, it's like, I don't know. It's just a very, again, that's also why I wanted to create this, was to explore that concept of like the very universality of like access to information and stuff during that period. It's like pre 9/11, kind of like, extremely, you know, optimistic outlook on where humanity is going with the power of the internet and computers. And it's just a very odd, like, specific, 5 or like, decade period of kind of, it's like 5 years more so, because like the internet didn't start really taking off till like 95, 94, I think. So like it's that specific kind of period of just like aesthetics, but it lasted and it permeated through, just that era into like the 2000s and stuff, and kind of stuck around until I think like the 2010s. Really, it was like kind of when it fell off, just because like trends shifted and whatnot. Did you consider going anywhere else in the time with the aesthetic, or were you just always set on that period? I honestly, this project was very focused in that I wanted to specifically focus on that period, because the whole kind of, thought process behind it is exploring that, but then also like you want to make it kind of a all-encompassing thing to the all-encompassing thing of you're making production music in that era. What is it like to make production music in that era, and making music for a project of like a documentary or a piece of software from that time. And I went more on the side of software, because that was what I was also inspired by, was like was it World Book encyclopedia for Mac OS. That was a big inspiration for it. So like theoretically, what if I was making that, and like I was trying to, kind of encompass that whole design language and audio, and then also like paying homage to it. So it was baffling to me how 9/11 was like a worldwide switch that flipped and turned the world from sugar optimistic, now that we could communicate on such a wide scale, to I don't know. I don't think I'm qualified to talk on the topic of like history in politics relating to 9/11. I don't think I have the full historian knowledge of everything during that era to really encompass it. But also, I think there is something to be said about, like, technically only from a consumer standpoint, I think there was optimism. But I think, again, there's also, you got to think, like, there was Y2K. Oh my God, Tracy Breaks is here. What the heck is up, Tracy Breaks? Thank you for tuning in to the stream. We're talking about 9/11. Yeah, I think there's like, because you also had Y2K. Y2K is a thing that's like oftentimes forgot about too during that era. But like, I don't know. It's just I don't know. That's also interesting. If you want an album, if you're looking music related things, right? If you're looking for an album that explores that, also in the vaporwave genre, of course, there's what is it, like News at 11 or whatever by Cat System Corp. There's that one, but the lesser talked about one that, in my opinion, is better and I like more is fucking oh my God, why am I gonna forget the name of it? Fucking how am I gonna? It's the album by Christ. I'm so stupid right now. Hold on. Let me just find the name real quick because it's slipping me. Deep Dark Trench. That was what was slipping me. Deep Dark Trench by Christ. That I feel is also it's a very surreal listen, but for some reason it kind of conveys an odd feeling of that era. Very, very interesting listen. I would highly recommend checking it out if you ever get the chance. I'm gonna go back to the production though. I have to go for a bit. Farewell, Sigmas. Yeah, thank you for tuning into the stream. I appreciate it. Right. Let's see here. So, yeah, basically, starting where we left off, the flutes. Technically, there is like 4 flute layers at a time, but it creates this very wide, very open kind of... Again, it's a lot of layering to make these big sounds. Furry spotted, I'm an ally. Yeah, people don't know it. People, I mean, actually probably at this point people know it, but people don't know it, but I am a furry, despite what the lacking of furry aesthetics in the trendy project may show. Furry solidarity. Yeah. So yeah, then you go into this part. Oh, also there's this, yeah, there's more chords that come in here. There's more chords. We add in some piano and some like Vox pads. There's 2 different pianos. And then there's like this sweep that happens too. All of them kind of do this pitch bend on the envelope right here. Hold on. Oh yeah, and then also adding back in this guitar too. This guitar shows up quite a bit, but it helps fill out the space and kind of, you know, adds that 90s coolness, you know? Yeah, and then this is, I believe most of the like actual sound of this part is just these 2 layers. And again, that's just it's Wave Station and JD800. That's doing most of the work. The JD800 is really just like the small top layer, and then you move into of course, the main focus of this point, and that is the flutes here. This was really fun to write, this lead. I kind of just heard it in my head as I was going along, and I was like frantically doing it in the piano roll. Like, so I was like, I hear this specific motif. I have to write it out. And I was like speed writing it. Yeah. And, really the chords here, again, simple chords. Very simple chord progression, nothing crazy, but then just kind of like does this like switch up at the end where it goes like, kind of lands on this chord. And then kind of goes back to the same old. Yeah, basically that's like the one part where the chords really like change up a lot, but it's very simple chord progression, nothing crazy. Again, the main focus is really on the leads in this part. Also the bass too, you have like a funky little bass line here. There's like this like slap bass playing in the background that like adds like accents, but you still have this like, this is like where the actual bass is coming from, is this metallic bass. Yeah, and that's like the main, that's really this part right here. This is like the part that really is like the main kind of focus point that at least I hear in the song, is this very like, it kind of all builds up to that. is like kind of like the release of energy from the chorus, but it adds in this very, again, it's like the vibe of it that I wanted it to be is like this song is specifically is like you're kind of discovering a new world, right? It's that very, you know, you're finding this new land, this great unexplored, and like, you know, you see like the, you know, the sun shining in this, you know, kind of utopian looking place. And that's kind of like what you know, what I wanted to have envisioned when you come into this. And it just holds on this chord. It's just holding on this chord because it's very much supposed to be kind of open-ended, very building, you know, it's building. And of course you have this guitar playing in the background the whole time, which like it just kind of adds in these like kind of accents and then also another fun thing you have here. Oh, so this is another thing I forgot. That synth from Pangaea comes back in here. This was where I found the preset was in this project. I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. It just adds in like a bit of like filler, you know. And then you have like these piano kind of sounds like kind of like you know, like Windows-esque like notification sounds, but they're like very just quick blips that just add something to like catch your ear. And I believe, yeah, this is just Wave Station. Again, it's just one of the piano presets in Wave Station for the piano. But yeah, no, it's like adding in little things like that to fill it out and kind of make it sound bigger than life is the whole point. And like here, the chords, again, it's just very basic. Like, and you're doing that like chord sweep too. Just to kind of like build energy. But the main real holding points in it is like these leads, you know. Yeah, and it's following, this is kind of like the main following thing. Like you're following this specific part of it throughout the entire song. That's like your guide through this new world is that arpeggio, because it's like you're following along with it, you're wondering where it's going, and it leads you to this place. That's kind of the compositional ideas behind it is that. And then with the drums too, this is where I am adding in a second layer of drums. So technically, actually, it starts here in the chorus. I'm adding in like these percussion layers with the Wave Station. I believe this is just yeah, it's that one drum kit just with the reverb turned off, and it's like just adds these like quirky little sounds, and then you mix that with the tambourine. And then of course here you have like some other, you know, there's this weird thing. This is an impact that was actually unintentional. I think I pasted a chord to one of the drum tracks, but I liked how it sounded. So you just hear this like weird like smash hit. I liked how it sounded because it just like, it sounded sonically interesting. So I kept it. And that's kind of like an added in layer with the rest of these like impacts here that you hear is these you just hear like, it just adds in like a crash sound without adding in a crash, you know, not over, you know, over emphasizing the drums too much. It's just like a quick hit that just adds energy. Yeah. And then also this bass line too is another thing kind of carrying it, is just like it's just kind of a pitch bend, and it just kind of repeats that throughout this, and that's just another carrying melody. Another thing too on the flutes, what I'm doing is I'm turning them down, I'm like fading them out, but then I have some reverb on it and some OTT, and then I'm just increasing that reverb to kind of add in this like kind of fade into the distance of them. Just automating that, right? That's actually the volume of it, but I want to see the reverb. Right, you just have like this just reverb swell, and then that's kind of just the OTTs on it, just to kind of keep it in check and kind of compress that reverb too, just make it very emphasized, you know. And then this end part too, I just kind of added on a whim while I was working on it. Kind of have it following the ARPs again. And then it just slows down a slight bit. Oh yeah, also this little thing here, this is just those same flutes there. They're just full reverb on them. Just pitch bend. You know, you go like, and then, yeah. It's like, I think there was, yeah, it's just a pitch bend on them. Yeah, but it's very basic, but it adds in that kind of like, you know, jungly feel to it, you know? And this is just, it's just going like I think 2 steps down. And this is just like, you know, it just kind of brings you down from that energy and kind of prepares you for the next part. You know. Yeah, I guess because we are getting to like 2 hours on the stream. I don't want the stream to go too long, but I'll kind of delve into some of the mixing. Because this has a lot of tracks on it, so I can kind of get into the mixing of how I kind of prepared these for mastering. So kind of what I'm doing, I guess maybe starting with like leads here. I'm kind of grouping everything together by sound profile, kind of. So all of the leads are higher register stuff. So that's things that just have a lot of high end to them. Yeah, so like if I select this track, this is kind of the group of all the leads. If I solo it, you can kind of see in like the EQ and stuff, a lot of it's in this very like, what's it? It's like from about 200 to all the way to like the end of the frequency spectrum. You have a lot of it kind of grouping in around, what's that, like, yeah, it's like around 1,000 hertz and up is kind of like your main kind of focus points with it. And really what I'm doing here is I would add in like soothe, instance of soothe on it. And really what that's doing is it's just chopping off a lot of these lower mid-range kind of like problem frequencies that are very much, they stick out in your ear and they would interfere with a lot of the other like chord things. And that was like, I just wanted to shave off those peaks there. A lot of it's, the core ideology with my mixing in this was, I need to shave off peaks and fit things together without ruining dynamics. So I'm just kind of using a lot of soothe to get rid of problem frequencies, especially in the highs and mid range, because that's where a lot of these instruments sit. And then, of course, cutting off just any low end, because this does not have any low end to it. So you get those like weird like aliasing artifacts in the low end, which can cause issues with like phasing in the bass and whatnot, and as well as like just kind of muddy sounding, a muddy sounding mix. If you add enough of it together in layers, it just creates this odd muddiness that you can't really figure out where it's coming from. But it's like, it's literally just artifacting and like reverb and stuff, and it's like you just got to get rid of that, you know. Right, I forgot to turn off the delta here, and then what I'm doing is I'm using Fab Filter just as a clipper essentially. And there is no difference here. It's literally just it's clipping essentially. If I turn it off, there's like no difference. And that was kind of the thing, is I just wanted this very transparent, just shave off those peaks, get it consistent so that when I put all of these groups together, I know what level they're like pinning at, you know. I know what level, like this will be pinning consistently at, you know, at its peak. What would that be good, like pinning at? I gotta like get a spectrum analyzer. I think I have one on the master actually. Yeah, it's like pinning at like minus like minus 23, I think. Yeah, minus like 23 dB. And so I know that consistently it's not going to go over that. So I know that it'll fit with the rest of the things. It's like kind of fitting everything in a box. And that same thing with the chords. Chords you have to be a bit more careful with, at least with when it comes to like the clipping, because you start to encounter these lower frequencies towards the like, you know, under 100 hertz, and that becomes very noticeable with clipping. So really I'm trying to keep minimal on the clipping, and I'm really just doing it to shave off those high frequencies. And again, with soothe as well, you're also getting rid of those problem lower frequencies, because that again interferes with the bass and stuff. And then of course OTT is also another good like peak shaver. It just shaves off those it squashes everything. So you just add in a little bit of it, and it creates energy to it. It makes everything just feel a little more attack heavy, a little more full. Yeah, like you kind of, when you hear a lot more of the breathiness, a lot more of those like small details in it when you just turn it on. Has more sustain. And also the peaks aren't like the hits of the chords aren't as sharp. And again, clipping, it's finding that balance where you don't want it like distorting, but you also want to, you know, and you can kind of hear that some of the attack is lost there, but that's not a bad thing, because you don't want these chords to feel too attack heavy. Then it's kind of painful on the ears. And again, just some basic EQs to shave off some peaks. Also adding in another EQ to shave off, you know, low end peaks after the clipping, because clipping will introduce that aliasing artifact of like, you know, you get the lower end frequencies that just jump out because it's distorting. So again, you always want to add that after clipping, because you don't want to introduce any of that if you already tried to take it away. You just basically copy and paste, you know. And with the bass had to be thought of a bit differently. You can't clip the bass, because if you clip the bass, it is so noticeable that it is gross and disgusting and ruins it. So with the bass, I'm not clipping it, and instead what I am doing here, I wonder if I have it on any of these. No, I don't. I did not limit the bass in this, but if I am like, no, actually maybe I did. You know what? Maybe I did clip this. Okay. So I am lying. On the other projects on Virtua, I am not clipping the bass. I only did it on this one, I think, because I was using a preset that had a very like attack heavy hit, like transient. And that was causing issues at certain points where it would like, especially during the chorus. There's just like these small peaks where it just like jump out too high, and it would just kind of mess with things. So I just had to shave off those high transients and hits and peaks, you know. And then of course I'm taking out a bit of the mids in this, because we already have a lot of mids from the leads in the chord stack. So you want to take out those like 100 hertz frequencies so it's not as prevalent, and you get more of that sub bass to it. And then here I'm also doing, this was actually a funny one. So this looks weird, but that is only because if you take this off, you'll notice, maybe you can't really notice it that much. There's a slight bit of aliasing on the sampling for the wave station VST that creates this really kind of annoying peak frequency up, like way up at, what is this? Like, yeah, like 13k hertz. Very annoying, very unpleasant. So I just added in a FabFilter Pro Q3 and just decimated it, got rid of it completely. Yeah, and that's kind of the main like melodic parts, at least for the effects. Again, just soothe on the effects just to get rid of any peaks. It's not even like, I'm just adding in a tiny bit near the top. The drums, also pretty simple. Again, just adding in some soothe. to get rid of just any peak frequencies, especially with like the percussion and stuff. You can see like it's really working up there. And the clipping on the drums is way easier. You can kind of clip harder because you're not going to hear that as much, you know. But since there are a lot of high points, I did have to be careful on it because, again, that introduces more distortion artifacts, and you can't really cut those out on the at least on the main bus here. You can't really cut those out, and that becomes very apparent. And then on the master, nothing on the master actually, other than this frequency, you know, spectrum and this utility that I was just using during mixing to increase it. And so that's really it. It was a lot of just kind of fitting things together. And of course on like individual tracks too, I'm just doing very minimal EQ, some OTT here and there for compression, some like standard compression too. At some points, like, you know, you have like stuff like this where I had to do a little bit of like effects work because you got to add in like, you know, can't just have it dry. But like a lot of it is just very much relying on the VST processing, like, you know, the processing that the synths they have themselves. For this guitar, really, this was another preset that I had lying around, and I just kind of adapted it for this. So just like this effects chain. I was using it on normal guitar, but I wanted it on this because it has a very spacey sound, and that's what I needed. I just needed it pushed back into the background as a background filler. So it's like, it's just very subtle. Some EQ, some chorus, getting some, you know, fitting it in the frequency range, and then like, you know, just some reverb that I'm like automating to increase at certain points. And there's this hybrid reverb that just kind of acts as like a tail reverb. But yeah, no, mixing was a different method than I usually do. I usually just do everything like mixing, mastering in one thing, in one project. And I kind of go through with like, you know, very, very sloppy kind of mixing of just throw an OTT on it, you know, EQ it and just fuck around with it until it sounds good. But this was a lot of like more carefully thinking about it to preserve a kind of sound I wanted. And again, I think I said this in my previous stream, but it's all about mixing to what you want it to sound like. And that's what I wanted with this, was I wanted this to sound like a certain era and a certain kind of genre of music. So I tried to mix it as if I were doing that, you know? But yeah, that is Discovery. It was the first one, and probably the one with, unless your notebook beats it, but this is the one with the most tracks, or maybe, I don't know. This, I think, has some of the most tracks out of the projects. Let's like 47 tracks, but yeah. Fun project. I liked doing this one. I'm gonna check Twitch chat because I haven't done that in a minute. So I'm gonna do that and switch over the project file. Where is my projects? There we are. Right. I'm gonna open a dictionary. This one's a quick one. World map. The project file name for it is dictionary, but this one's a quick one because it's pretty minimal. But hell yeah. Let's see what do we got here. Furry solidarity. Hell yeah. I knew it from that fucking Halloween cover. Yeah, that is my Sona. I asked Noel to kind of draw something with my Sona, and with kind of like following the vibe of the EP while she was listening to like what you know, what she vibed with and what she would come up with it, like what she would come up with from it. And it was yeah, it's I like it. Goes hard. Maybe I'll do more cover art like that at some point. I'll you know, do more stuff like that. You're my top artist in Spotify Wrapped. I love your music so much. Thank you. I'm so glad you like my stuff. Thank you for supporting my work. I know a lot of artists are like, streaming doesn't support me, but genuinely, if you listen to my stuff on streaming, you are still supporting me, and I deeply appreciate that. Shout outs to all my Spotify listeners. I love you. Your furry does show in your music. Does it? I guess, like, I don't know. I know there's like the whole furry music subgenre kind of community going on, but like I don't know. I didn't know there was a specific sound to it. I guess I'm kind of out of the loop with what the furry community is making these days. Hell yeah. Oh, Seth Nova. Hell yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I was talking about you earlier in stream. I was shouting out your work because you were a big inspiration for this project. So, hell yeah. Thank you for stopping by. Really loved the mixing on the CP. Everything was super clean in a way that made it feel even more sonically on point. Hell yeah. I'm glad you did. I will reach out the invitation if you ever want me to like mix any of your stuff. Like totally reach out to me. I'd love to work on something together at some point. So hell yeah, best guitar patch. Yeah, best guitar patch. You were the one who turned me on to it, and it is the best guitar patch on any synth. I love it so much. It's like so watery and like fluid and smooth. It's awesome. I love it. You gave furry music in class. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess. Hell yeah. Shout outs to all of the furry listeners of mine. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. I love you. I give you a big old thumbs up emoji. Hello Sigmas, what's your favorite fish is back? Welcome back. I'm going through Twitch chat before moving on to the next track, just to catch up on all of the messages I missed. But I think we're gonna just like go through this one really quick because it is a fairly minimal project, so like project file. So I'm probably gonna like speed run through this, even though actually, you know what? Let's have it. Yeah, it's like really minimal. Yeah, I could go through this real quick. World map. This one is also one that I really enjoyed working on. It was kind of me testing out the SRX World plugin, just like the sounds in it. And this is also the main sound of it is that guitar patch. So this one, the percussion of it, I think, is like kind of the main draw of it, really. And this is, I believe, let's see. Yeah, this is all SRX World, aside from, I think, the timpanis are just the JB 1080. But yeah, the shaker is just it's like a shaker loop preset. Yeah, it's just like a soundboard on the SRX World plugin. Surprisingly lined up with the tempo of this project, because it's just a sample, but it's surprisingly lined up with was this 100 BPM. So and then you just have some like conga, just kind of basic bongo sound, and then you have like this kind of like tree drum layer, and then mix that with just some typical bongo, and you get this like kind of rhythm going. You know, you get that like kind of rhythm going, and then to accompany that you have some tabla on the bottom, and that just kind of adds that low end punch, as well as that like just occasional, you know, like high end. And again, kind of taking with what I said when I was going over the last track of like kind of combining those different, you know, a world sound, you know, like a general world sound. Like if you go into like I don't know if it's still part of GarageBand, but like in older versions of GarageBand, when you go into like the loop section and they have like the categories and genres, and it's like world, and it's like nondescript, different kinds of drums and woodwind instruments from different cultures, but it's just categorized in like world is kind of like the vibe I'm going for here. Because you hear like a bunch of different stuff from like other, it's more like, obviously the tablas give it more of like a kind of like the East Asian kind of vibe. But generally you can like kind of place it. You could place it at like, anywhere in the world and it kind of works, But you kind of have that, and then that's layered, of course, later on with the drum kit, which is again is SRX World. And that's just a really basic drum pattern that just kind of accompanies the rest of the percussion. I select all the drums. Just kind of adds in more of like, again, like if you're going on like the whole, it's building, it's all around the world, like the drums are like the, oh, this is like the Western influence, so you kind of add that in with it all, and it kind of works together, and then as for like the chord layer here, again, it's really just strings, and also there's like, you have a bass, which is just really basic finger bass preset on the SRX World thing, and just compression to get rid of the peaks. Effects as well. Oh, you know what? Yeah, effects is just white noise. Impacts, that is where I have this little like bell, and then you have more of these like feedback tambourine hits. And then also we're adding back in the whoo. Yeah, you gotta add more of that in, because it just sounds good with this. It works with the vibe. And then like, yeah, you have the chords, and it's again just strings and choir, I believe. Yeah, it's like you have a choir, which is just like a synthy choir sound. Some like realistic strings. You have like the higher ones, the lower ones, pretty basic. And this doesn't, again, not doing anything crazy, just going back to that like, fifths and sevenths kind of idea of writing chords. Very basic, open-ended. And then, of course, you have the main leads, which is kind of trading. It's kind of a call and response between, you have the guitar as like the main introductory, and then you're kind of responding to it with the bagpipe sound here. And then the guitar kind of comes back in as a response to that, is like bum 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 bum. And then you have another kind of calls in this like kalimba over here. And that kind of like is like a background thing. And then you have this just one odd electric piano motif here. It's never revisited. It just sounded good, so I left it in. And then of course you have the same motif, the bagpipe motif from Discovery playing here. Kind of just, again, because this is like, it's world map, so you're going across the globe, you're spinning a globe, or you're it's the kind of like a graphic of going across the world, and you see like different images from different like cultures and history and stuff showing up on this map, and like overlaid. And that's really kind of the vibe I wanted to go for, is like, especially in this part, it's like you're kind of traveling through it, you're visiting these different sounds. You come in with these like kalimbas, kind of, you have like the da, 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 and then you have the like the one over top of just da, 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 dum, ba, da, dum, and it's very spacey sounding, but it's these kind of like, it just visits different kind of sounds and melody structures. And then there's like this little part where you have a little bit of like the bum, 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 and then, you know, go back to the same old, kind of revisit it. It's like an interlude, I'd kind of put this as, and kind of what it's intended as. It's a transition from Discovery over to Meteorological Center, which we'll get into right after this. Yeah, and the ending part of this is, again, just kind of, you just have the drum hits, lower drum hits, then you have another one of these hell yeah. Let's see, I'm gonna just read Twitch chat real quick here. Wait, I saw your previous stream, you had a bear VTuber model. Is that character voiced? Yes, that is my Sona. Not, well, half bear, raccoon bear, which is a surprisingly rare combination, but yes, it's a combination of a raccoon and a bear. And that is a model that I made myself, and I was like, I will probably never use this for like VTuber stuff. Like, I wanted to use it for VTuber stuff because I added in all the shape keys for like facial tracking, so I had to use it at least once. Yeah, the little section is so satisfying. There's a lot of the motifs, specifically in this one, was like, when I was writing it, just felt very satisfying, and like everything fell into place. It was very satisfying to make. I like it. I like this one a lot. It was very fun. And again, going back to like inspirations, this one was heavily inspired by World Book, that software, just kind of the vibe of it. So let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just go switch over. I don't even need to do like the switching over like to the title card. I'm just gonna go straight over to so we're gonna go straight over to Meteorological Center. Don't save. Right. This one I think is one that this one was another one that was made early on, really fun to make too. This one was definitely much more like I'm making Weather Channel music than it was like an actual like educational thing. It just kind of fit the whole vibe of what I was doing with this project anyhow, so I included it. But yeah, this one, again, another really minimal one. I didn't do a lot on this one. A lot of the kind of complexity here is actually from the drums. But of course the main focus is on like the, you know, the melodies and stuff. I'll just break down the drums real quick to get this out of the way, but like, that's a little loud. I'm just gonna turn that down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So this is kind of like, you have your percussion layer here, and this is all wave station, I believe. Yeah, aside from like the JV 1080 feedback hit, this is all wave station percussion. And kind of the base of it is this like this drum beat. I don't even know what preset this is. This is the, okay, it's Hall. Kit 1 Hall. But it's just kind of like, it's almost R&B-esque, kind of like New Jack Swing almost. Kind of bouncing drum beat, you know? And it really just stays the same. It doesn't really change aside from this part, but this is really just like, it just kind of cuts out the kick in the snare. And then that's layered with this tambourine, which gives it this like extra bounciness almost. It just kind of adds in some accents and that kind of high range kind of, you know, it just adds in more of this like traveling feel to it. And then of course this is layered with some like kind of more quirky percussion layers, which again, just more wave station. I believe it's that one drum kit. No, it's not that same one, but it's the same like sound selection. It's like these just metallic-y hits, or like kind of like digital metallic-y hits that I find is kind of pretty like often used in that like jazz fusion type style, because that's really what this is, like kind of like jazz fusion type stuff. And then of course you have the, you know, bringing this back. Oh, and then I forgot about this layer. This is a little forest layer. This is actually, I brought in the XV5080, which is, it's very similar to the JV1080, but this one, honestly, if you're looking to get either the JD1080 or XV5080 plugin to like install, I'd recommend just get the 5080. It's much more, it's the same sound set, just has a few more like added in sounds, and I don't know, I use it more often now than the JV1080, so but yeah, there's like this like foresty sound. This is really just kind of to fill out this song, because like I don't have a lot going on in this section, and it kind of draws your ears to something. It doesn't sound very samey with that, but I guess that kind of moves us on to the melody here. So the chorus guitar comes back here again, kind of the main focus point, but you also have the chord stack here, which is mostly consistent of this this right here, this electric piano. That's kind of carrying it. That's like the, you know, main lead almost, along with the guitar. And then you have this pad which just fills out the, you know, the mids. It's very breathy, very ethereal sounding. And then, of course, you have the bass, which, again, another kind of counter melody to all of this. And here I am limiting it. I am limiting the bass very hard, actually. I don't know why it's being limited so hard, but I think it was just because it's very transient-y. But, like, yeah, with this, it's basically just, like, just prevents it from, like, clipping if you want to kind of shave off those peaks. I think I have a video of me on, what was it, like Instagram, playing this, like, actually, shittily, but, like, actually. And it's really those bends that kind of give it that specific vibe, you know? Those walk down bends just kind of give it that, like, very, it's just used a lot in this like era of music and like kind of vibe, you know? So yeah, always got to have those bass bends. Very, very much something that like is kind of integral, that I found it's integral to this style. I just found it a lot in like different stuff. But yeah, no, it's a very, very nice vibe. Adds a very nice vibe to it. Then at the second part, because this was like, for the longest time, I had no idea what to, I only had this first section and I didn't know what to do here. So I kind of took inspiration from, I forget what the song is and who the artist is. Eco Virtual sampled the song on one of the Atmospheres albums, but it's, it was like a 90s dance track, but it has that like it has the like, you know, boom 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 boom. Again, I forget what the song is and who the artist is, but I kind of took inspiration from that song specifically, and I kind of added this in because I'm like, hey, it fits. It has that like kind of follows with the rest of the EP, kind of makes it fit in a little more compared to, you know, how it sounded this section, because this section sounds very, you listen to this and you think like, oh, that's the Weather Channel, and then you listen to like this section, it's a little more like, oh, it's like more like documentary music, you know? Yeah, and it really, there's nothing like crazy going on here. It's just like, just kind of have that like walk down to this lower chord, and then you're also bringing in this like kind of breathier accompaniment to the kalimba, which is just like a really basic Vox synth JB1080. Just kind of gives it that breathiness. And then again, doing a lot of bends here too. Just kind of adds in some, like, you know, some extra stuff there. Just, it gives it something, it makes it sound more interesting, gives it a better transition, just having those bends. Adds in that quirkiness that's very present in a lot of this kind of music. And yeah, it's really just kind of, at this point, that's just a copy and paste of the first section. You just add in the kalimba as well. And then you get into this nice little piano section, which pretty inspired by Trammell Starks. Again, this is Weather Channel music, so that's kind of fitting that would be the artist that I took inspiration from. But like, you can hear that very, like, it was kind of supposed to be in that specific style of his work. And the piano here, again, it's just the XV5080 actually. And again, it's this rock piano. And then I'm just kind of increasing I think under the routing section, I increased the reverb level, and then I just have like a hall reverb. It turned up the level on it. And a very slight chorus too. And you get this very, like, kind of pristine crystal-y piano. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's just like, it's just jazzy improv, essentially. This was also done in a piano roll. I did not play this. There's a lot of manual adjusting of the velocity based on, like, what I could imagine it sounding like if I played it. I just could not play this. I mean, I probably could if I practiced it enough, but I just wanted it done. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's basically like kind of my take of trying to make weather scan music. I've done quite a few projects like that. Well, like in the interim when I was making this EP, I made a lot of like throwaway stuff like that, but that was largely what this was inspired by. And you can hear that in like the piano motifs and stuff. And then again, like, the unfortunate thing about this track was that I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. So I have a lot of these sections where I just like introduce new melody parts. And this was kind of one of those things where I was like, I guess I could add in like something that sounds watery, you know, like this is, it's supposed to sound, you know, that's the title of the project, Watery. And it's because it sounds like rain or like, you know, like a puddle or a pond, like ripples on a pond, you know? And, I have this like dulcimer stack thing, which is like an amalgamation of like the XV5080 and JV1080 just stacked on top of each other with a bunch of like different just like small EQ adjustments. And really it's just doing this like kind of picking up where the piano left off, you know? But it sounds very like kind of spacey, watery. Kind of works as kind of like an outro kind of lead. True, it is. It is an underrated instrument. Hell yeah, I'm glad it is interesting for all the non-music producer viewers, because that is the one thing that I kind of was looking forward to kind of going into detail about here, was like generally the less of the production of it, like less of the intricate, very you know, gritty kind of like you know, this is how I EQ this and that. I was more so like, you know, I want to kind of talk about like my main inspirations and like kind of the vibes of each part to kind of like, because like a lot of people ask like, you know, oh, what were you inspired by? Or like I get like this specific influence from it, and it's kind of fun to go into detail of like, yeah, I was for this part specifically, I was influenced by this or that. And it's like, you know, Will there be a VOD of this? Yes, there will be a VOD of this. I'm currently recording the stream, so I believe also Flash Memories is too. So we should there will be VODs of it. Yeah, hell yeah! Shoutouts again to Flash Memories. Flash Memories is a real one. But yeah, then the ending of this again. It was just kind of like at this point I was like, I don't know how to end this. Originally it was going to be a fade, but I kind of liked how it kind of like the abrupt ending of it, of like just kind of having it, the reverb kind of on the drums, kind of make it fade out, you know, just like gentle reverb tail out. I liked that. And I kind of kept it. Yeah, no, that was kind of the whole, vibe of the track. It's Weather Channel music first and foremost that I kind of tried to adapt to this project's vibe by making it like also documentary music. But yeah, no, that I called it meteorological center because it kind of was first and foremost inspired by that, and I felt it still fit the vibe of that kind of like rainstorm puddles and a pond and kind of ripple effect type vibe, you know. Like was it Mac OS X, like earlier versions of Mac OS X with like the aqua theming, that kind of vibe, you know. I am going to actually be right back here. I realized I did not get myself water and I need water, so I will be right back here. All right, we are back. We are back. Let's see here. Got a few Utopian Scholastic tracks cooking. My semester is done, so hopefully adding more to the... Hell yeah. I'd be excited to hear what you got cooking, because I'm always interested in what people are making, especially if it's like inspired by my stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, what do you take from my stuff? It's always interesting seeing what like takes and different stuff people take from my work, or like other related work and other like inspirations and stuff, you know. The world does need more utopian scholastic music. Hell yeah. The whole album is amazing. Also interested in a VOD. Missed the first 2 hours. Yeah, no, it's totally okay. Again, all this is recorded, and it will be uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, no need to worry about missing the first 2 hours. There was also a lot of Q&A in the first 2 hours, so like you know, you didn't a lot of the like, you know, production stuff I broke down like kind of in between the Q&As and stuff, but yeah. Suppose I'll get was it information superhighway loaded up here? Was it? Yeah. Right. I'm gonna get it loaded up here, and we'll dive into that. That one has some more interesting stuff going on, specifically like the little breakdown section right before the chorus. It has that'll be fun to go through, just like the different sounds and stuff. Yeah. Let's see here. Screen. There we go. So, yeah, so this one for a while was stuck at just this beginning part here. This like ARP section, which is just it's really just like this wave station preset on top of this like other wave station preset, which kind of has that like information-y, like, you know, I call it news beep here because that's what it reminds me of, is like, you know, breaking news, you know. And then there's this little like piano hit here, which is just it's again another like wave station preset, which is just like it's meant to be like, in context, it has this like like a weird like drum beat to it, but like I just like the little like just like quick like, you know, just adds a little bit of that, more of like that kind of like, it's supposed to feel like you know, like information is traveling fast, newsroom kind of vibe, you know. And so then you're bringing in here, yes, like you have this, and then you have this like other kind of percussion layer, which also has like a bell on top of it. Again, another wave station preset. But it's like this just like zappy kind of like, you know, it's all about like the blippy bloopy kind of sounds and stuff, and layering those together to create that like aesthetic. And then you have like, you know, pad layer. Again, more of those fifths and sevenths. It adds that curiosity to it and that kind of like exploration feel in a sense, you know. And then of course you have gotta bring back in the feedback hits, gotta also bring in the finger bass, just, you know, has that chorusy bass sound. This is the fun part though. This part right here is where everything gets fun. Where are all of the so it's way down here, yeah. I think I actually switch up the bass for this part. So for this one, this is another plugin that I only think I used in this project. I didn't use it for anything else because it was I got it later on. The TGX99 plugin from Gospel Musicians. It's an emulation of, I think, was it TY SY99 from Yamaha, one of those synths. It's an emulation of that. Only one I could find, because there's like, yeah, SY99. It's really the only VST emulation of it out there. It's pretty decent. It gets the sound pretty accurate. It's not like 100%, but it gets it good enough. I was almost considering getting like an actual physical SY99 during this project because I wanted to get those sounds, but like this was good enough, and I didn't end up really using it on much of it. But you know, it's just like this slap bass sound. It's like I have this like layered with it's like a slap bass sound, or like it's like more typical like Moog type sound, and then it's like layered with I think it's like a what is this one? Yeah, it's like a DX7 FM slap bass. Just gives like a very gritty but very poppy sound. And then yeah, the drums for this too are really basic, nothing crazy. It's that hi-hat layer. I'm using the wave station for these gated drums, like gated reverb drums, and this is just, again, I think I did some slight adjustments to it with the reverb because it was a little overbearing. Did I might have. Yeah, I think I did like some slight adjustments to the reverb with it. And then there's also this like metal percussion sound. Again, just wave station. But the drums themselves are really simple. It's the this is the power drum set. Yeah, this is the power drum set preset on the JB 1080. Again, very nostalgic sound, very much 80s, or not 80s, 90s, very 90s, you know, kind of like just gives that vibe of like cheap synthesizer sound, you know. It was used very commonly. And then of course just a tambourine layer. This is actually a Korg Triton. Yeah, it's just like a more organic sounding tambourine with some like, you know, like more reverby tambourine in the back. But the real star of this entire project is this specific section here with the like different effects synths. So you get the orchestra hits, of course. So these are from the XV5080. Just basic quick orchestra hits, and then that's combined with what do we have here? It's these other orchestra hits from the Roland, or yeah, it's these other orchestra hits from the Roland D50. And this is a really cool sound. Wait. So it has this like initial hit to it, but I'm only bringing in the pad part of it. I think this, yeah. This is a really cool sound. So it's basically, it's basically just these like, orchestra hits, but then it has this like trailing ambient pad to it. And what I'm doing here is I'm turning it down when those initial hits come in, because I'm layering it with actual orchestra hits, and then I'm just emphasizing that ending pad. And then that one hit there, because it has that like very gated reverb, kind of like big room sound, but it's very short, you know? And then there's also this other cool sound effect from the D50. It's called, what is it? It's Intruder FX. It's like, I don't even know what it is, but it just sounds digital and ominous and mysterious. It's cool. It's cool sounding. Yeah, so I added that in as kind of like a filler. And then there's just these like metallic, you know, like mallet sounds. And that's just wave station. Same thing, just the right and left ear. I didn't feel like automating it. And I wanted the reverb tails to be on either side. So like, I didn't really do much there. And then you have this like just synthy kind of like wobbly kind of quirky sound. Very like funk, you know, influenced. And again, that's just the D50. Again, you have this like more funky, quirky sounding like sweep along with the ambient pad from that orchestra hit preset. And then also another thing I'm doing here is I'm doing this same section on the, and then I'm just kind of copying it over here and just doing it like right, left ear. And just like bending it as well. That's another thing I'm doing here is I'm just bending it, you know. just kind of, again, the bends make that quirkiness really stand out with it. And then of course also you just have the dial-up tone under all of this, because it's like, you know, internet 90s probably would have been included if, like, you know, like it was like a documentary or something, you know, you include the sound effect because it's like getting online, you know. And then also you have this like guitar harmonic bend, which again is just I think it's just literally a guitar, like distorted guitar preset, and if you push the velocity on it to the max, it does a harmonic. So it just, you know, doing the harmonic bend of like, and then obviously adjusting the like delay level to kind of give it that like transition out too. And then you kind of just add that all together, and you get this like just very cool section of like chaos. Just sounds quirky and weird and digital and new age, you know? And then of course you're layering that all with this kind of droning like sequence. That kind of like droning sequence on top. And then of course you have this like drum fill just going kind of crazy. And the bass line too is just kind of like bup, very basic, but it's like just kind of very basic, just add in some bass on like the kick, you know, and like kind of follow the melody. And then this part also is pretty basic too, kind of just repurposing some parts from some other tracks. I'm bringing in this string synth again, very much it's very like ravey sounding. That was very much just kind of like a, you know, taking it from Pangaea, but then you're also bringing in this synth because, like, yeah, of course that would fit in this. And yeah, that's really like the top layer is just that, and then you have the chords are really carrying like the melody, you know. Not much happening in them, but they kind of do carry the melody for the track. Of course, you're bringing in the guitar because this is like supposed to be the cool 90s track, you know, it's supposed to sound rad and cool and awesome, and it's like got to bring in that guitar as the main focus. And then of course you have like the background pads following that same kind of, you know, 5th, 7th type chord progression type of deal I've been going through with this you know, project. And I always like, at least on this track, this section, I always felt a bit like off about, just in terms of like how I did the chord progressions and stuff. And I think it was because I have, it sounds open-ended, but it's not really supposed to. But like, I kind of like wasn't really sure how to figure out how to kind of deal with that. But because like if I added in too many like, you know, like definite chords, it sounded a bit too out of the vibe. So I just kind of kept the open-ended chords with it. And then that was kind of where this all came in, was kind of, this was supposed to be kind of the main focus, or at least something to drag your ears away from that. Because it does give that like specific kind of, it does add to that vibe, and it does kind of help with that. So that's really kind of the thought process with a lot of the ARP and stuff in this section, is like it's supposed to draw your ears away from like paying too much attention to the chords and getting bored. So, and then of course you get back into the same let's see here. Oh, this is muted. Yeah, you get back into like the, and this is really just a copy and paste of this. Only thing I'm really adding is these guitar harmonics. And again, same thing. just kind of pitch bend modulation. Just kind of, you know, adds in that little bit of like, you know, rocked out kind of vibe, you know. And then also I'm adding in these like these kind of, you know, big 80s sounding gated reverb drums. It's like what would a Gen Xer think is rad and hip in the 90s if they're doing like, you know, digital new age stuff. And like it's supposed to sound rocked out, you know. And then I also have these like reverse cymbals, just you know, the Triton, Korg Triton again. Just a simple reverse cymbal, nothing crazy. And then the outro part is really simple too. It's just more of kind of the same. Just kind of dragging in parts of the chorus into it. Just kind of like revisiting parts of it to kind of build up towards the ending. Then this like at the ending part, just kind of add energy. I just have these reverse cymbals kind of going crazy in both the ears, you know. Just kind of adds in some like, you know, riser energy. Yeah, and then it just ends on those orchestra hits really. Kind of the main thing. The slap bass and the orchestra hits is what gives it that impact, along with that gated drum. But yeah, it's a really basic track, all things considered. The main focus of it is this little effects section with the synths going crazy and stuff. That's really the main focus point. But yeah, I think that allows us to move on to the last track, and that is Your Notebook. And this was the one that, again, was another one I was stumped on for a while, but was one of the last ones to get finished. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, all things considered. Yeah, so damn, this stream's been going on almost 3 hours at this point. Damn. So this is a longer stream than I anticipated. I think I was doing more Q&A than I anticipated to. I was like expecting to like speed through all these projects and like no one was asking me questions. Not that I hate the questions. I actually really enjoy answering questions and like people asking me them. Cuz people bring up a lot of interesting questions and stuff, and it's always, you know, it's always fun to like respond to that and stuff. But yeah, no, it's like, it seems basic on like, you know, when I think about it, of like, oh, you know, there's not much to it, but then I can kind of go into like a lot of different aspects of the project files as well and whatnot. Right. Let's see here. Yeah, so this one is actually, it isn't actually the biggest project. It's only 32 tracks. It feels bigger than it is because I was dragging in a lot of stuff, especially towards the end, from a lot of different projects. But the main thing that carries this is it sounds very simple, especially at the beginning, and it is, because it's basically just it's a little loud. It's basically just these it's like the piano. You have the electric piano that's kind of carrying it. And then you have this pad kind of underneath it, just kind of adding in that gentle ethereal layer. Just adds a little something to it. And then, you know, going into the actual verse part, it's like revisiting. Actually, no, it's the Triton that I'm using for this. Okay, so I thought I was using the SRX. Originally I was using the SRX World drums for this, but I think I switched it out towards the end. So educational. Yes, hell yes. This song in particular gives me very comfy vibes. Yeah, that was kind of the point of it. The vibe behind this song was like, it's like one of those tracks that like, you know, going from like, because I'm imagining, you know, when I was writing it, like, you know, it's kind of like a, you know, thinking in terms of like it's a piece of software, right? This is like your like if there's like a note-taking section or like a library section where it's kind of like you're accessing like you know, like saved notes from the program or like settings or something. This is kind of like that section. It's like away from the energy of it all, and it's kind of like a, you know, small library, you know, like school library or like local library type deal. You know, by like a windowsill on like a, you know, sunny, bright day, you know, maybe like, you know, spring or fall time type deal. And it's meant to kind of have that like, you know, almost outro type. I mean, it is an outro, and that was kind of the way I wanted it to go towards the end, but like it has that kind of vibe of taking you away from the energy. But then also you're like thinking back on you know, it's like kind of, you know, having that nostalgia aspect, like thinking back on childhood and stuff was kind of the vibe. But yeah, it's like this first part is really basic, and of course you have I think this is a wave station. More of those bass bends. But then yeah, you get the harmonica that comes in here. This is SRX World. Why isn't that playing? Hello? There we go. I don't know why it wasn't playing. Yeah, and then like the electric piano is kind of playing the main melody here, like a melody, you know, and then it kind of takes a step back here and just goes to more basic chords to give room for that harmonica over here. And this is just a very like basic chord structure. Has this little like step up that I really like. It's like kind of like a kind of curious note, like tilting your head almost. Has almost like a countryside vibe too. Like the harmonica and stuff. Introducing that guitar again, kind of like teases you towards the kind of like, oh, elements are going to get reintroduced, you know. And then also here, there's like this very inaudible, but like, it's very small, but it still kind of fills out the vibe of the track, just like kind of guitar at this section. You really can't hear it in the ending, like in the full mix, but yeah, Animal Crossing, that is definitely like, that's definitely also kind of one of the vibes of this, I guess. I think I'm also doing some more like slowly adding in a few more notes as well with like the electric piano there. You get like some subtle notes and stuff just to kind of fill it out. And of course also you have this like pad going underneath all of it on top of the other one. It's just like this very breathy pad, more to get that high end. Then you kind of revisit the beginning again, just with some more elements added. And then of course, this kind of goes into a key change here. That's just like, I think it's like taking a step up. And of course you have this reverse cymbal too. This is just a stock Ableton reverse cymbal. Or it's not a real, it's like a cymbal roll, a stock Ableton cymbal roll from like one of the orchestra packs. And I just kind of chopped it and brought it to that point. Sounds nice. It sounds very transitional. Then, of course, you add in some more percussion on the drums. You add in, like, the, you know, ride and the shaker. And you're kind of just revisiting the previous part. And then the other guitar part here, you hear this, like, 12 string that comes in. And that's kind of layered with the... What's that? No, that comes in later. So this is, like, kind of... Or is it such... Hold on a second here. Roland plugins act fuggily sometimes. They just don't want to work. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to work. So this... We'll never know what this track sounds like because the Roland plugin doesn't want to work today. Thanks, Roland. Can you fix your shit, please? Thank you. But yeah, this is like just, you know, basic ARP kind of counter melody, but it's very subtle because if you add too much of it, it sounds like it gave me too much of a, like, what is it? It gave me too much of like a flash game RPG type vibe, and I didn't really like it, like mobile farming game. I didn't really like it, so I pushed it into the background just to kind of fill out the space. Then you start to kind of introduce everything, starting with these arpeggios, the synthy ones. And a lot of these actually are just kind of repurposing stuff, at least the higher like notes and stuff. It's repurposing it from Discovery, because that's what I was wanting to revisit here. So these ARPs are just the ones from Discovery. Same, you can see they're named the same and stuff, because I just ripped them straight from the project. And then of course you have that guitar. I also just added in these like flutes because I felt like it kind of filled out the space. Kind of has that chugging feel to it. And then in the chord stack here, this is when everything kind of kicks in full gear. Of course, you have this like piano from Discovery, just, you know, kind of doing chords. And then of course you're introducing this other like electric piano on top of the existing one, just for higher notes. Because if you combine those together, and also these chords are a lot more definite. They're a lot more, they're not left open-ended. They very much have like a, you know, this chord goes into this chord, goes into this chord. It's not supposed to be very open-ended because this is much more of a, it's less about curiosity, right? It's not, you're not really curious. You're kind of reminiscing, you know? So that's kind of the vibe of the composition here, is less, I'm learning, and more like I'm remembering. Essentially. So it's thinking back on the journey. So a lot of these chords are much more, yeah, like it resolves correctly and stuff. I remember. Sometimes I forgot, and sometimes I remember. And then of course this is also mixed with the pads on the bottom of the chord stack, just filling out, again, ambient space. Bass is really simple too. It's just kind of following the chords. And yeah, the main thing here, I actually condensed all the flutes into one instrument rack, I believe. Where's it? Yeah, or no, I didn't actually condense them into an instrument rack. I have the MIDI getting sent out from this one over to the rest of them. But this is the same exact flutes from Discovery. And then this part specifically here is just the motif from like after this part, that's just the motif from Discovery. And then of course you have like all the chords kind of following it too. And then you're bringing back in the motif from Discovery as well, the intro motif, to kind of transition it out. And all you really have like in that section is you kind of have these pads just following it. You have that like, that little like, you know, elegant kind of ease off the electric piano. And then you just have these trailing pads just following the rest of it along with the piano. And then everything just kind of slowly fades out. It's kind of meant to leave you on that just like, you know, world spinning vibe. Yeah, it's a very much like when I kind of finished this up, I was like, damn, that's the outro of the album. Like that's how it ends. Like that's the perfect ending. Because I again, for the longest time, I didn't know what to do with this project. And this was kind of like the finishing, you know, this just like was the cherry on top for it. And it was a very nice, like it all kind of came together at that point. Yeah, the closer. With the harmonica too here, I think, what did I do here? Why do I have two of these? I think these are just EQ'd differently. So this one is a little more up front because it's the lead, and then this one was supposed to be kind of pushed towards the back, so I didn't have it as sharply EQ'd. Because it's meant to just be a background accompaniment. So I kind of just duplicated it, changed it up a little bit, like EQ and effects wise, and pushed it back. But yeah, no, this track again, like the chord layers and stuff. Again, this is using kind of all the synths at once. It's the, you know, Wave Station, JV1080, XV5080, the Triton, the D50. Did it? No, I'm not using the D50 in this one. I think I'm just using like mostly those and like yeah, I think it's mostly those, but that's like kind of the main ones that I used throughout this, except the Triton. That one's like occasionally shows up, you know. It's the Wave Station, the JV1080, the XV5080, JD800, D50, you know, that kind of stuff was the common ones over this whole EP, and this kind of has all of them in it. But yeah, no, it's you see, I thought this one was going to take longer to break down, but it's a very simple track. And of course the drums here during this part, really it's just like you're picking up the you're just switching that rim over to a snare. You're adding a, you know, little bit of a tambourine on it, and you have the shaker kind of going at full force. But yeah, no, this is, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to the project. Again, a lot of, I mean, project as well as just the rest of the EP. It's a very simple, like production wise type thing, and it really does rely on the presets more than anything else. And it really does come down to just thought process and compositional work with it all. But yeah, no, it's, ooh, why was my mic peaking there? What the hell happened? Sorry if that like blew out anyone's ears. I don't know what happened there. I just saw the level peak suddenly. I'm gonna just go over the mastering process real quick, because that was it's really just going over the master chain. But yeah, I'm gonna go over, what was it? What was like the one that was kind of, I think it was just Discovery. I'm gonna go through the Discovery master chain, and I think we'll call the stream there, because this is going on a lot longer than it needs to. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through speed run, a mastering chain speed run. It's taking a minute to load here. Jeez. But yeah, no, thank you to everyone who tuned into the stream and has been tuned in this entire time. Y'all are real ones, and yeah, there will be a VOD of this all. Oh shit, hold on, Ableton's crashing. Hold on, I gotta restart Ableton here real quick. But yeah, no, yeah, I'm so glad everyone tuned into this stream. I'm so glad that everyone loves this EP, because I'll be honest, when I was getting ready to release this, I was really unsure about it. because it was so different from a lot of my stuff. So I was really unsure about it. The fact that there's been this much support and people have been kind of sharing it around so much, and have been saying how much they love it. It means a lot to me, because it's just like, you know, it's it was kind of a passion project, and it was really fun to make, and to know that other people connected with it similarly to the way I did, just, it means a lot. So yeah, thank you to everyone who supported the project. Thank you to everyone who's bought it on Bandcamp as well. That's been insane, just how many people have bought it on Bandcamp. It's crazy. But yeah, no, it's blown me away, to say the least. It's blown me away just how much support there's been for the project. So thank you to everyone who supported it and listened to it and enjoyed it and was also here for the stream. You guys are the best, and I love you a lot. Okay, I'm trying to open the project now. I don't know if it'll open here, unless Ableton did some weird update where older Ozone plugins fuck it over. Okay, no, it opened. Okay, great. It's just missing files, the masters. Hold on, let me just yes, okay, there we go. Right, we're gonna run through this mastering chain real quick. So basically, so kind of following the thing with the whole like shaving off peaks and stuff, basically what that's getting it prepared for is this mastering chain, because the whole point of this is essentially another thing I did when I exported the unmastered versions of these tracks was I added in, I normalized them. I turned on the normalization feature when I exported them, so it's kind of already level. You know, the peaks are already at 0, 0. But really the main goal of this mastering chain is like shave off even more peaks, get it to be flat enough where you can raise the volume and you're not going to experience any weird, fluttering or distortion or anything like that. So if we go into like this track, right? So this is like, yeah, it's, it sounds pretty good already. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong. Okay, it's this one. This is the track. I'm gonna also just go into OBS real quick here. I'm gonna turn that down because it's gonna be louder than my voice. Okay, so like basically, it already sounds pretty good. But the main thing too that like I had here is like basically trying to like just shave off even more peaks. So to start, it's like you add in dynamic EQ, Ozone dynamic EQ, and really all this is doing is like there's like just going to be specific frequency areas where it kind of you just get those high peaks. So it's like specifically that like tambourine, you want to kind of just shave that down. The bass too, like those kick drum hits, the bass, just like, yeah, those like lower bass notes. It's kind of like ear crunching, kind of like mids too. You wanna get rid of those, and then OTT on the master. This shaves off even more of those frequencies. Kind of, if we just turn those off, you can kind of like hear in comparison. Just kind of flattens it out, you know, like you just get those, like, it just flattens it out a little bit more. Then of course you add on Soothe. I think this is the, what is it? Balance to the Grammy Awards preset. And I just have that slightly on there just to, again, shaving off more peaks. It's the process of shaving off peaks. yeah, it's just like kind of overall grabs everything, highs, lows, that kind of thing. This EQ is doing absolutely nothing. I don't know what this EQ is doing. I think I'm just adding in a slight bit of highs, and I think I just left it there because I liked how like the subtleness of how it sounded, but it's extremely subtle. This is basically just nothing. And then this is going into the main thing I use to squash everything, a glue compressor. Oh, I gotta turn off the delta. There we go. So the glue compressor is just my like squish compressor that just squishes everything together. Again, just like any of those extreme like transients from the drums, just squishes it down, kind of gets it more down to like a you know, flatter volume level. So like you kind of like, it's, you know, it's the subtle gradual increase of kind of losing dynamics without trying to lose too many dynamics by like squeezing it. Because like in the final thing, you know, like when you hear it unmixed versus like or when you hear it mixed versus mastered, it's are you mixing on headphones or speakers? All of this I did on headphones. I'll be honest, I prefer headphones for mixing and mastering. But I mean, if you have a good like room set up where your room's treated enough to have reference speakers that can accurately, you know, relay the sound to you, then like you can totally use speakers. I just prefer headphones. I have the Audio-Technica M50X, MX50s, the usual like Audio-Technica headphones that everyone recommends. I just use those as my main like mixing mastering headphones these days. But yeah, no, it's just like kind of squashing everything to get it down to a reasonable volume level and frequency response, so it's like kind of flat all around. And then it's going into this Pro Q3 here, and I believe, yeah, this is really just kind of a more technical thing. So it's cutting off anything that's inaudible on the highs and the lows. So anything under 20 hertz, it's cutting off, and then anything on the highs, it's cutting off just like, you know, after 23 kilohertz. And really this is more like, I don't know if it really makes a big difference. I don't know if it adds in any weird like resonance or anything like that, or like phase shifting or some stupid shit like that. Basically, it's just meant to get rid of any frequencies that are present. Like if I like, let's see, if I turn this off, there's just like this weird kind of like little bit of frequencies down there, a little bit of frequencies up here too that are inaudible on certain sounds. And really what this is just doing is getting rid of those, so when it goes into the actual mastering, like, you know, the actual loudness part of this, and if that, we can go into Ozone for this, because there's a few things in Ozone that I'm doing. When it goes into the actual loudness, it just removes it gives some space, you know, it removes any unaudible frequencies that are going to mess with like distortion and stuff and clipping. It just gets rid of that. So it's out of the equation. You don't need to worry about it. But I don't know if that I don't know how much of a difference it makes essentially. Match EQ is not doing anything. I have another, EQ here, another like, like dynamic EQ. Oh Jesus, that is fucking loud. Hold on. I'm gonna just turn that down on my headphones real quick here. I'm also gonna turn that down in OBS. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. I'm just gonna like, yeah, there we go. So really what this is doing is like, do I need to turn that down even more in OBS? Is it too loud? Can you hear my voice? Am I too quiet? Basically, this is kind of shaving off some like odd low ends and stuff. It's quite loud. Yeah. Okay. I'll turn it down. I will turn it down like halfway. I think that'll be good. How many does a person need? You it depends. It really depends. Like layering on EQs was something I used to try not to do. But yeah, it's like it's really up to how many like how I guess like how organized you want to be, how much you want to put in like one EQ, because sometimes it just helps to have like EQs dedicated to different sections of the sound to kind of like help you organize, like, oh, this one deals with low end and then this one deals with the high ends and stuff. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. So it's like for different stages of the process. You know, it's all up to personal preference though. I believe. So like, you know, use it however you want. Larry's fine if your computer can handle it. Most computers nowadays, if you have anything relatively modern made within like the last, 8 years, you should be fine. As long as you're not using like a bunch of like Pro Q3s or Ozones or whatever. If you're just using like stock EQs, you should be fine. Yeah, let's see. Where's my monitor? There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, again, you should be fine. It's EQs and audio processing isn't as intensive as it might seem. But yeah, like it's getting rid of these like just like small problem frequencies and also bringing things up. This isn't a dynamic EQ. I got that wrong. This is a normal EQ. I thought it was a dynamic one because I think I used that in a few of the mastering chains, but this was essentially me getting everything to be relatively the same frequency, like response and level, just like any slight adjustments to get everything sounding the same frequency wise, because some tracks had like very high ends and very like, mid-rangey, ear splitting sounds. So you gotta like level that out so when it becomes louder, it's not like it's standing out like a sore thumb. And then there's like some transient emphasization and kind of shaving going on here. Yeah, it's just like let's see, can I listen to the difference of it? No, it is how do you listen to the difference of it? Does it, I forget. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is like, that's barely audible, but basically it's just like, it's doing just like some slight shaping. And then of course you have the imager. This does a lot actually. So I'm just increasing everything to make it sound wider and lowering the width on the lows just to get rid of any, weird phasing stuff. And so, yeah, really what this is doing is just kind of like, I'll play it with it without it on, and then with it on, with it off. You can just hear like in the mids and the highs, it just gives it more space. It makes it sound bigger than it is. And then of course there's the actual maximization loudness portion, which everything I kind of tried to keep around. I kept like the maximizer, I turned down to like the threshold of -9 dB. I'm using the IRC2 preset or like mode in the maximizer. And then depending on the song, usually I was lowering the character to like a faster transient response. Just because like these, I didn't want a long like, release and stuff. I just wanted it to be very, only kind of limit things when it gets really peaky, You can see that kind of there. And then of course like the stereo linking, I kind of turn that down to like a lower value. I have it higher on some of the other tracks where it's kind of like what's it called? It's like you have things that are like, very stereo wide and causing peaks. You don't want it as like, grouped. So it's like only dealing with, one channel's, total volume level. But yeah, let's see. And then this is just like this was what I used. This is basically just the frequency response curve that I was trying to follow for these tracks, which is, you know, you can just see the reference of like where it lines up, and then adjust it based on that. That was kind of the thing I was using to figure that out. And then of course loudness meter, just to check the loudness of it. Hitting a target range of like, what was it? I believe it was like somewhere like 7 to 6 fluffs was kind of my target. So yeah, and that's pretty much the mastering chain. It's really, again, it's that whole process of from mixing to mastering, shaving off peaks while preserving dynamics, and then having it so that when you actually get to this stage of having to increase the volume, you're not struggling to get everything to not distort, you know? Fuck. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's like you can just kind of assume that it's going to be squished down enough, or that certain peaks will only be at a certain level that you can kind of guarantee you'll have this much headroom to really increase things and get that level of loudness out of it. And again, that was like new for this project of me trying that. But it worked out well, and I like the mix of it. So yeah, I think with that concludes the total breakdown of the Virtua EP and all the little intricacies and influences and whatnot of the whole thing. And yeah, that's kind of I hope it was informative. I hope it wasn't too dragging or kind of too like, I don't know what I'm doing type vibe. But yeah, I think, considering it is like almost 11:30 and this has been going on for 3.5 hours, I think I'm gonna call the stream here. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in, whether you got here at the start of the stream or got here late or you kept on revisiting. I'm so glad to have all you here and have done this stream. It was fun getting to talk about this and answering questions, and yeah, going through, revisiting these projects and going through them. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you again for all the support on Virtua. It's been amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for that. And yeah, I hope y'all have a good night or a good day depending on your time zone. I know if you're in EST, it is definitely night. But yeah, hope y'all have a good night, and y'all have a good weekend as well. And I will catch you in maybe another stream someday. So yeah, I will see y'all later.